Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast number 66. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined here in studio with Johnny V in our glorious Milwaukee studio location.
It's better. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
I got big plans for a studio someday.
Someday. Is that someday going to be in my lifetime?
Are you going to help me move to a new house?
I wouldn't count on it. I'll probably be covering the tournament that weekend.
So then maybe you won't be invited to my new studio.
All right. I could get on board with that.
All right.
I'll stick at my own studio. So tonight we are going to bring you for the first time ever, our featured guest is going to be Jeremy Koling, Big Germ.
Are you saying he's never been on the show before?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Big Germ stepped inside the Smashbox, so to speak, over at the GBO, Glass Blown Open, when we did of our nightly podcast wrap-up shows. I believe it was after the night he was leading after the opening round. And he was able to stop in, and we had a really good time with him right outside the Dynamic Disc Distribution Center.
Yeah.
And we just haven't had him on as his own featured guest. He wanted to know if he was getting paid.
He's going to get paid the exact same amount that we paid the world champ.
Wow. That's a good... All our world champs.
All our world champs.
We've had quite a few on here.
We have.
None have gotten paid.
Zero.
A dime. So, Big Germ,
a
little more exposure is what we can give you.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we do. Not to expose him?
No.
No? Isn't it funny if you just rearrange a few of the same words, how things might not sound the same?
They sound dirty.
They can. So, Big Germ's going to be on the show tonight. Dana Mite Vici, our good pal, is he's taking the night off. I don't know if he had an official conflict or if he just, every once in a while, he likes to stand down and let things breathe a little bit. And Zotron, we're not going to have any Zoe tonight. She said that she just got done working, but then had a pretty serious offer to go play some volleyball.
I would take that right now over this.
So we're glad.
No, literally, if anyone needs me to come play volleyball tonight,
please do.
I would love.
Take him away. I'd be okay with that. I can make this happen. Right now, I got to click like one button to finish the show.
Yeah.
The rest I could handle.
You could probably do the switching. Probably wouldn't be too tough for you.
I could get it. So this is Podcast 66. Of course, we're live here tonight for the next 1 to 4 hours. You certainly can then download it if you didn't get enough, or if you didn't get to stay and finish out the show. You can always download us on all of your favorite podcasting apps. Is that what they're called? Stitcher, iTunes,
sure.
Podcast Republic.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I think that's what's on my phone.
Pocket Casts.
Sure. All those different ways you can do it. And then while you're there, give us a thumbs up or a like or a rating or something like that.
Yeah, go. And even, you know what? I know we don't push this too often. If you get the chance, most people find their podcasts through iTunes.
Oh.
Go ahead and give us a 5-star review on iTunes.
Even if you don't like us.
Even if you don't like us. The 5-star reviews help bump up our visibility. They're going to make us the #1 podcast in disc
We're going
golf.
for that #1 spot, I think, as Nelly once said.
I got my eye on the prize.
Yep.
So, yeah, if you get a chance, go ahead. You can write a review, but nobody reads them. So, but write something nice. Or tell us about your first ace. Put that in the review.
There you go.
Nobody cares. Just the 5 stars is what really matters.
And then Smashbox, the Smashbox bump that goes along with it.
That's right.
We've been fortunate enough.
If you don't have an ace, write something. Maybe you'll get one.
Yeah. And we've been fortunate enough in the last few weeks especially. We've had a number of people step up, say they want to sponsor, help out the show, contribute.
Awesome.
So in various parts of the show you're going to see tonight, we've got a giveaway that's going to be sponsored by Discraft. They've got a couple of their newest putters, the Roaches.
Yep.
I've got a pair of those that I'm going to be giving away to a lucky contestant.
Did you mail out last week's?
I think I mailed out last week's.
Awesome.
I think. I'm pretty sure I did. I did.
Good. You mail out a lot of stuff, so I can understand.
Now I'm starting to get confused when it's not in my PayPal account. I sometimes get a little lost or confused, and there's people coming at us from all these different angles. So if I haven't mailed you something, I will. Just remind me politely. So we've got this is definitely sponsored in part by Discraft. We appreciate it. Dynamic Disc, Bobby Brown, Eric McCabe, Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, Disc Golf Answer Man, that whole conglomerate over there. You guys have been supporting us. We appreciate it. And we've got a new sponsor that we're going to be talking with in a few weeks. And we're going to get to know more about them. But it's Daredevil Disc.
Are they blind?
I don't think so. Blind Melon?
No, like blind. Like the Daredevil, the comic character, he's blind.
I didn't see that one coming. Hey-o! Anyways, Daredevil Disc has stepped up. They now are here stateside, and Ricky Singleton is the guy to reach out to. They've got a bunch of different molds, and again, we're going to have them on the show so we can learn more about them. They haven't been a household name just yet, but of course, they're looking to find a way into your bag and into your heart. So Daredevil Disc, they've stepped up in a major way, and they're interested in supporting and sponsoring our show.
That's great.
To get out there. So we'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think about them and what you're learning from their discs and how they're going for you. So Ricky Singleton, 574-250-5304. That's his phone number. So get on it. Call him. Tell him you want to be a distributor here in the U.S. All right, so those are some of our sponsors tonight, and we've got to send a shout out to our pal Miles Parkhill over at Paragon. Miles T-shirts, all the different things that he does, always supporting and sponsoring the show. We appreciate it.
He doesn't always directly sponsor the podcast, but he helps us so much behind the scenes that he's basically a forever sponsor.
And I got a new shipment of stuff from him just today. Some
awesome.
Sweet Smashbox TV towels that some people might see this weekend. And might be given out if you win stuff here.
Ooh.
All right, so enough of all the free stuff that we're going to be giving out and all the good things going on. Like I said, we're going to have Jeremy Koling on the show, and we're also going to be talking at great length probably about the All Things Disc Golf and their Throwers' Choice Awards. I had a conversation with Zach earlier today. Zach, who runs the website over there and one of our partners here in the media group that we work with, along with Inbounds. And we're excited to hear what Big Germ has to say and where things stand. I know they were at a preliminary level in terms of the awards, and now they've narrowed them down somewhat. So it's getting to be crunch time. I want to say winners are going to be announced come next Monday or Tuesday.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. All right, so we'll fill in for Dana a little bit tonight. Let's start with anything that jumped out at you in terms of what we saw here on the Pro Tour with nothing but B and C tiers taking place.
It looked like there were really two big events this week, one of which Big Germ was in, and we'll talk with him about that in a little while. The other is the DGB Christmas Classic down in Birmingham, Alabama. The tournament director was Ben Swarm. They had 23 open players, and the big surprise to me when I looked at this, when I did all the research I did, three minutes before the show started, was that the person who you would have thought to win,
or people,
well, there's one person in particular. I mean, there's a couple in the list, but there's one that I think stands out. Didn't win. He took second, tied for first. Which is, as we've said, a nice way of saying you lost in the playoff. Tim Keith, who played Grand Masters in the 2010, took second place. Who do you think he lost to?
Well, somewhere in that side of the country, there could have been.
May? No, he plays AM. AM Grandmasters.
There's a lot of people, like you said, that was a pretty competitive field. Down in Alabama, this is.
Yeah.
It could be a Matty O who plays down there frequently.
No, I was saying, who do you think he lost to Grandmasters for 2010?
I'm sorry. 2010 Grandmasters. I'm going to go with that might have been the year of, oh, wow. It's hard to not look.
I know.
I was going to say Mike Rayleigh or Luna.
Not even close. Greg Hosfeld.
Oh, Haas. Okay.
The Miniac.
Okay.
So, no, but Tim Keith actually ended up winning, clearly in a playoff. He shot, it looks like both him and Paul Ulibarri was second place. So, Paul's the kind of the guy you expect to probably an easy win, not necessarily easy win, but to win and run away with it.
Oh, you give him a lot of credit. We love Paul. But
I love me some Paul, and he's the kind, it's not like he takes a break. Some of these guys, they don't play for a couple months or a couple weeks, and they, Paul's a year-round kind of guy. And just by looking at it, Tim Keith's rating is 963. He played Grand Masters in 2010, which you know he's up there in age, and
he's on the higher side of 50. You're saying? I'm
saying probably.
Okay.
But both him and Paul came out with not exactly stellar rounds. They both under 1,000, 995 and a 985. And then they both came out and they were only one of three people to shoot over 1,000 second round. Looks like they tied at 102 And even though, like I said, it doesn't have the final result, but it says first place Tim Keith, so we're going to assume that happened.
Yeah, you entered in on
because it's the way the
that way.
spreadsheet works with PDGA. So congratulations to Tim Keith on taking down the young gun, Paul. Actually, did you see Paul was in a podcast this past weekend? A non-disc golf related podcast.
For Gillette?
No, not Gillette.
I'm just making up names here. Yeah, I did see that.
Yep.
And that's such an awesome opportunity anytime.
Yeah.
Because really, I didn't read all of it. I kind of scanned through it. But anytime you get the chance to obviously spread the word of disc golf to some outside companies or people or viewers, I think that's a great thing that can happen. So, yeah, I did briefly see it.
It's on a website called The Half Hour Intern, or you can probably search for it like you search for any other podcast. Mm-hmm. And it looks like, from what I have seen from some of the previous episodes, this is one of the few podcasts I probably don't subscribe to, they take a different sport. I saw some mountain biking, some extreme climbing, and they just probably bring someone in to talk about it. And so Paul was fortunate enough to come in and discuss, a half hour. I'm assuming it's a half hour. It's called the Half Hour Intern. So a half hour of disc golf. And
or maybe that's all he works.
Maybe, yeah.
He or she.
He or she, yeah. I haven't had a chance to actually listen to the podcast, which I want to download now and kind of get a feeling for. So good job, Paul.
Well, nice job. Also, some notables there. Chris Dickerson rated 1,009. Joey Lutz rated 1,003. Todd Bagwell 997, and Matt Dollar at 1010. So solid performance there by Tim Keith to take down the victory there on the weekend. So nice job. And our pal Kevin McCoy rated 999. How did his scores? I can't quite see. How did his scores match up overall?
Not close.
Okay. Well, so.
But congratulations on winning Masters.
You played where you should have this weekend, Kevin.
That's right. So congratulations to Kevin McCoy on that.
Awesome. Very cool. Some other action that we saw throughout the weekend. Was there anything that jumped out at you? We saw some collegiate things taking place for...
a couple X tiers.
Yep.
Well, at least it's called the Goat Path X tier. It says C. I don't know if they designate it as CX normally. But it's called the X tier. So, yeah.
And then we'll get more in-depth once we get Mr. Koling on the line. Jeremy played in the Tupelo Bay this weekend, and then later followed it up with some questions about consecutive birdies. I saw him post that on Facebook. We'll get down in the nitty-gritty, get all the details of just how many birdies. There may be a pattern that I've noticed throughout the years that when someone sets or breaks a record, especially with the advent of Facebook now, it's funny that there's usually the first one to then ask about it right after that weekend. I know Chris Herron in Wisconsin, for instance, he's played a ton of disc golf. He's played a lot of consecutive weekends. He's done a lot. He's had plenty of accolades. He's accomplished a lot of things.
Sure.
And every once in a while, I'd see him post and say, "Oh, just wondering about this." And more often than not, it was then inquiring about something he may have just, the feat he may have just accomplished. So it's kind of a funny thing. So Big Germ, we're calling you out, but we're interested to hear your story about how this weekend went down for you. So should be some pretty good stuff. Other news. I
was gonna say I don't want to leave out our overseas friends.
Okay.
And this was an open tournament. It was a C tier, but it had just as many players, 23 open players. And basically, I want to just massacre some names. Yeah. So congratulations to Lucas Falandra. So I'm thinking I'm pretty good with that.
I'm going to go with Lucas. Or maybe Lucas.
Lucas.
Maybe. I don't know.
Congratulations on your win overseas at the Unikovska. Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Sure.
I'll buy that for $1.
Something
or
crest.
a euro or something. I don't know what they are.
Yeah. That was over actually in the Czech Republic.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting that, we don't get to do a lot of overseas stuff, mainly because we don't have a lot of contacts over there.
Yeah, a lot of reporters.
Yeah, so if we could, it would be kind of nice to be able to bring in like somebody once a month from overseas that can come on at I don't know what time it is over there right now, but got figured out. Oh yeah,
Depending on
sure. Depending on where you are,
it's 6 hours ahead of time.
Yeah, someone to come over and kind of explain, maybe give us a good detail for a couple of weeks at a time. So that's a thought I've had in the back of my head.
Brilliant. You're brilliant.
No, I'm not.
No.
Anyway, so congratulations overseas. Other than that, there really wasn't a heck of a lot going on. It was a small weekend.
Okay, well, understandable. Our pal Brian Moore, I've known Brian for a number of years. I saw that he ran an event. If you want to click on it, I saw that he's hosting an event and probably played. Oh, he did not play. He's one of those guys that's usually good enough. Oh, he did play.
He played and won. Yeah,
even better. Okay, I didn't see it at first.
Correct.
I was gonna say he's one of those guys that I think can probably handle doing both. Looks like he had some hot shooting this weekend, holding off Charlie Goodpasture and Zach Kitchen, averaging about 10-10 golf. So nice weekend for you, Brian Moore. Congratulations, buddy. I think I played with Brian at the 2012 Worlds in Charlotte. It was the last time I played and competed against Brian.
So. I did not.
No, you didn't.
That Worlds, I played with I played on the bottom card at Pro Worlds that year.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't finish there. I don't think. I suppose.
Oh, finish on the bottom card. You finished the tournament.
I finished the tournament.
Just not on the bottom card.
Just not on the bottom. Then again, maybe I did. I don't remember. I don't know. I didn't. When you're that far down, you don't really look at results at the end of the day. But I got to play with two people from overseas in the. I believe. I'm not. I'm going to screw it up if I say it. But yeah, two wonderful guys I got to play with that year, and we had a lot of fun. So.
All right. Speaking of being out on tour. We have Zotron, who's not here tonight, but just sent us what some might consider a disturbing picture. Sent us the picture of a, I'm going to say that's a deer heart. She's got organic meat for the tour next year is what she's telling me. So she was out deer hunting, got herself a white-tailed deer. Congrats, Zoe. Give you a little venison action. So get down to it.
Yeah, so for the people watching, you can actually see a picture of her that she sent to us. So congratulations on getting that
on your kill,
getting that deer.
White-tailed deer, got it.
White-tailed deer.
She said she's got some organic meat, or she's got I don't know how meat wouldn't be organic, but she's got some food for being on the tour next year. So sounds good.
It's gonna be hard to keep that cold on tour
unless they make jerky. I'm a big fan of venison jerky.
I know you are.
So that'd be okay. Anyway, I don't think we have much else. I'll put in a quick plug since we're at that point. Quick plug for my tournament this weekend. Due to the ridiculous weather most of the country's having, including us, plus the timing of it, I'm not able to host the Chaining in the New Year when I normally do. I moved it up a week. And we had to move off of the Dretska winter course that we normally play simply because it's actually too mild here. So the golf course superintendent, and this is something that I think speaks nationwide, the golf course superintendent had said, you can go use it and play out there, but if you wreck it, you guys will never use the course again. So obviously, rather than taking that risk and being responsible for it, because it is so incredibly mild out here, I've moved the tournament for my C tier this weekend over to the east side of Milwaukee to Estabrook Park. I know we have a ton of Midwestern people that listen to the podcast, Illinois, Minnesota, whatever, Wisconsin. So this weekend, Chaining in the New Year is happening at Estabrook, and it's going to be, I believe, a 21-hole layout. I'm working with Bob Bowden. I've never personally run a tournament there, although I vend and sell discs there. I've yet to run a tournament there, so I'm looking forward to it, and maybe I'll even compete. That's crossed my mind as well. I've had a pretty abysmal year in terms of the few events I did play, so maybe I could finish it out abysmal or not. But so Chaining in the New Year C tier this weekend. If you're within 2 to 4 hours, we'd love to see you. Come play. Could be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, let's ring up our guest, Jeremy Koling. We're going to give him a call and hopefully get him on the line.
Sounds like a plan. Do we have any music for this?
We don't. We should get some guest music or just some Jeremy Koling music.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcoming to the show for the first time, we have Big Jeremy Koling. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Good. If you could be introduced to any music, what would it be, Jeremy?
Careless Whisper by George Michael.
Okay. Yeah, that's, if I remember, didn't you use that at GBO? Or,
GBO 2014.
okay.
Yep. It's
Uh,
funny because you sign up for the glass blown several months in advance, and you pick a song, and at some point, whenever I was signing up, probably in March or something like that. That for some reason that song was hilarious to me, and me and a couple of my buddies who I was on tour with, we just kept listening to it, and so I signed up, put that as my song, completely forgot what I'd chosen, and happened to be on lead card come Sunday. So when I stepped up, I had no idea what was about to hit me. And if you watch the video, you can see I am so surprised. And I'm there. I'm like a lead card last round, big tournament, and I'm got my super focus mode on. Then that song comes on, and you just see me. I completely lose all focus, and it was a miracle I kept it in bounds.
okay, so you were surprised about the song not being on lead card.
Well, I mean, you'd hope to be on lead card.
Of course.
That's funny, Terry. You're good.
Wow. No, when you're Jeremy's caliber, you expect to be on the lead card.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise.
So Big Germ, we'll put one out there right away. Normally we don't have to do this, but some people may or may not know that. You're quite a jokester. You like to have a good time, yuck it up, you have fun, and I'm usually not shy about talking a little trash. So you and I kind of, I think we're at another level of occasional jabs than most. And
do you need me to leave?
No, I just think people should know that that's the relationship that Big Germ and I are at, and I think some outsiders don't always see it that way.
Well, you were just at Jeremy's.
Yeah.
You were just at Jeremy's 40th birthday.
Because some of my comments towards you, Terry, if people don't have that disclaimer, they might think, wow, they really don't like each other.
Yeah.
But I do actually not like you, so it's
yeah.
perfect.
No, feelings mutual.
I don't know.
But we'll pretend.
I don't know why you invited him to your 40th birthday party then.
Hey-oh.
So
I see what you did there. So Big Germ, let's start with a few of the basics. Where are you at right now?
I'm at my home in my apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina, and sitting here at my desk where I do all my off-season design work. And yeah, we got the Christmas decorations up. We're gonna have a little Christmas party here this coming Friday, and a little ugly sweater competition. Trying to get my pre-game ugly sweater on right now. So.
Now this weekend, we saw a couple of your teammates and friends. I saw Kat and Yuli and some of the other guys and Shoestrick this weekend post a picture. It looks like they were sporting some pretty serious ugly sweaters. What'd you think?
I mean, I think that's good for amateur parties. For sure, I thought it was great. I mean, but if they wanted to come out here, they had an open invitation. They said that they couldn't make it. I think it's because they know that they were going to get their butts handed to them in the ugly sweater competition. But, we all have our reasons.
Now, is there something to be said these days about companies going out now intentionally making these ugly sweaters? Has it kind of shifted the paradigm of what it really started as to where we're at now?
Oh, okay. You're saying sweater companies. I thought you were relating that to disc golf.
No.
Oh no, I think it's terrific. I mean, it kind of loses a little bit of the authenticity of what an ugly sweater used to be.
Yep.
Granted, but there are some really funny ones, and you really can't say no to, like Santa Claus pissing Merry Christmas in the snow. I mean, that's classic. That's classic.
Yeah, there are some good ones out there. All right, let's talk a little bit about this last weekend. A very successful one for you. Give us a breakdown of set up the event even for us.
Sure.
What you see, what's been happening, how many years you've been there, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's last weekend was the Tupelo Bay Open in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's the only event that I've played every single year since I started playing PDJ tournaments. So this year was my 8th consecutive year, and it's just the number one way to finish the season off, in my opinion. Myrtle Beach, the weather is, sometimes it's hit or miss, but more times than not, you're in South Carolina on the beach, and you can get some really nice weather. This year we had perfect weather. It rained a little bit in the last couple holes on Sunday, but on Saturday we were all sweating. It was in the 70s. We were in shorts and t-shirts. There's hardly any clouds in the sky. We just couldn't even really believe it. It was so nice. And so you're playing on this nice golf course. It's an executive golf course, but it's of all the golf course, this golf course mixes I've ever played. This is easily one of my favorites, if not my favorite. And it's another one of those events where you get to ride around on golf carts, and you get to pick who you play with on Saturday, and you play all day with them. You play 2 consecutive rounds with them, and whenever you have a break, you come in and you have some food, but then you go back out there. So it's kind of a little unusual, but it's a really laid back atmosphere, and it's just a lot of fun. And this year, Barry Schultz came down there. Last year, Ricky Wysocki came and he won, and setting a new course record while doing so. But there's always some really good competition out there from people who are either trying to avoid the bad weather or just people trying to have a good time.
And how does one, especially of your caliber, how does one go about picking your group? And the follow-up to that is, does it matter divisionally? Can you actually switch out divisions, or do you have to stay at least within your own division?
No, you can play with any division on Saturday. And for me, I usually just play with Henry Childress. We usually ride down to the tournament together. He's been my best friend for several years, so it's kind of a no-brainer for me. And most people usually show up with a couple of their buddies. One year Henry couldn't make it, and I ended up playing with a card of 4 people I'd never met before, and I broke the course record. So, it doesn't really matter to me. I just like being out there. It's beautiful.
And Kirk has been running this event every single year, is that correct?
Yeah, Kirk, and he has help from a lot of his buddies from North Carolina. Chris McLeod, a.k.a. Stick. Mike Norris has helped out a bunch. Jay Pontier, and just a bunch of guys from North Carolina. There's a bunch of people who help tote baskets back from Myrtle Beach to Rock Hill. So just everybody wants to be a part of it because they want to help out. It's such a fun event, and we really just are so appreciative to be out there on such a nice golf course. And so you see a lot of people out there that are just trying to make sure that we can keep going out there. And the golf course has really received us well. The first 3 or 4 years I went out there, the tournament would never fill up. Half the entry fee goes to the course, the other half goes to payout. So people didn't really think, oh, this isn't worth my time. Over time, people realized, man, this is awesome. And now it fills up every year, and so you have to always be looking out for the sign-up date.
Yeah, and I was going to say just that. I know I've seen Kirk post about it year after year, and that's how I knew it was on the tip of my tongue that he was the TD. Now, one thing that we've shifted from in Wisconsin, but still is very prevalent, especially down in that neck of the woods and that part of the country, are the multiple day tournaments. And of course we have some in Wisconsin, and I'm not just talking your A tiers or your N Ts or anything like that, but your B tiers are commonly still 2 days down there, or we see it more often at least. Mm-hmm. What is that mentality like for you as a competitor, knowing you're likely playing 3 or 4 rounds anytime you have a tournament, versus if you come to Wisconsin, for instance, or a lot in the Midwest, a lot of the events are you really just play 1 day and it's usually 2 rounds?
Well, it's certainly a different mentality going to sleep on the lead or with a deficit than going to get a sandwich and come back and do it again. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of the endurance aspect to it. And since I've been playing in North Carolina, since I started playing disc golf almost 10 years ago, Charlotte, North Carolina in general, and really just all this entire region, there's no easy wins. So especially when you have to go to sleep at night. Not to say that North Carolina is exclusive in that. I mean, pretty much nowadays, anywhere you go across the country, it's going to be tough to get a win. But I think most people are familiar with the strong players in this area. And, to go against, nowadays I got to deal with Barry Schultz whenever I play North Carolina. Yeah, he's a Masters player, but let me tell you, just from my personal experience, he hasn't lost a step. From what I've seen on video before I was playing, and from what I saw when I started playing, he was still at the top. The dude is outrageously good. And So, when you have to play against him and Schwebe and Michael Johansson and just, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you got to go to sleep on that with a lead. There's nothing safe about it. So it's certainly interesting. I mean, there's something I like. I definitely enjoy playing the one-day tournaments. Just get them done, go on, go home. But the weekend tournaments, I think that there's a cultural difference in that a lot of people go together with groups, and so they stay together and they do things Saturday night and they hang out, and it's a whole weekend event. So instead of just a tournament, I think that there's a little bit more of the camaraderie off the course that might be involved with that. Um, but I've never really known why the tournament directors in North Carolina choose to go that route as opposed to other places in the country where they do the one day stuff.
It seems like I remember traveling back there 1998 playing in some of the events, and it was just that. It was 2 days.
Yep.
We played in South Carolina one year. We played in North Carolina the next year for spring break. And all of those tournaments were just always 2 days. Even at that time, it was almost for sure 4 rounds. 3 rounds,
Yep.
3 rounds and a final 9 weren't nearly as common even. It was 4 full rounds of golf. And
Absolutely.
and when we talk about people like Schwebe, who you mentioned, and we talk about a few years ago, along with Bradley Williams, and people setting and breaking records about tournaments played or tournaments won, you have to look at that.
Yeah.
That the geographic region you're talking about.
Yeah, look, I mean, Schwebe plays more 2-day events than Bradley Williams does, but Bradley Williams will go out, one year and win 50 events when he can play 2 in a weekend.
Yeah, so there's just those opportunities are definitely a little bit different. Same in Wisconsin. Chris Herron, who I referenced earlier, has a whole bunch of wins, and he could play one little C tier one day and then literally another even smaller C tier the next day, and it's easy for him to be able to double up in that way if you're playing good golf. All right, so
I was just going to say, I remember when I started playing, I thought that all C tiers were supposed to be 4 rounds, 2 days. And honestly, I remember being disappointed sometimes playing 3-round events because I thought that I wasn't getting enough golf. I was that, and my perspective was so limited. But like I was really like disappointed if I didn't get to play at least 2 courses and 4 rounds in one weekend. I was like, man, this what does this tournament director know? Nowadays, if I play a C tier and if it's not one day, I'm probably not playing it because it's just too much stress on a 4-round event. Like you said, it's just sometimes better to just have a one and done.
yeah, and I think we're seeing more of that. I think we're seeing the people trimmed out, and that goes kind of hand in hand with what we announced a few weeks ago about even the Worlds. And of course, you're usually playing pretty intense courses at the Worlds, but them, reducing it, possibly just 1 round a day over 4 days. Do you feel like that's enough golf? You're obviously a contender at these events. Do you feel like that's enough golf to determine a world champion?
The argument for that is that every event that we play, currently, at the most, you play 4 rounds.
With the exception of
It's
Worlds.
an interesting dynamic going into playing the World Championships. You got to be there for 2 weeks. 1 week to play, 1 week to practice, and you got to learn multiple courses. And it's just so unlike any other tournament that it kind of is strange that that's the tournament that determines the world champion. What makes the world champion be determined from such an obscure event compared to what we practice and plan all the other tournaments? So there's that aspect to it. But then again, there was that, I think maybe for like lower divisions, lower levels, I think playing a bunch of rounds and playing a bunch of courses is more important. Like I was saying earlier, like I really look forward to that. When I went to AM Worlds in 2008 in Kalamazoo, I think we played 5 courses, and I was like, oh, I guess that's enough. But like that, that was my mentality at the time. Like I just wanted to play as many new courses as possible. And nowadays, it's like for me, I really want to focus and lock down on like 1, 2, and if I have to learn 3 courses, that's a lot of work, but that's fine. Anything more than that, I think that you start losing focus on what you're trying to do. And so I think it's interesting. I think that if we can play 4 rounds and then a semifinals and then a finals, so you get 5 rounds total, then I think that's plenty of golf. And absolutely can determine a true champion with that. I mean, that's the format we determine the true champion in all our other events. So why should it be so much different with the World Championship?
Sure. And speaking from our experience, obviously never being contenders at the Pro Worlds, but very much when we started, I viewed Worlds, like a lot of people still do, as kind of a vacation. If I'm going to go to Pennsylvania in 2005, I want to play as many courses as possible, and maybe not as many courses, but at least as many rounds as possible. I want to get my money's worth out of it. I'm going there just trying to fight for last cash, so I'm like thinking, God, let's bring on the golf. I'll take as much golf as we can play. And as we all get a little older, and as our courses stretch out and get longer, it also becomes a slightly different mentality. I think back to this year's Pro Worlds this year. My first day, my first round, which was also on my birthday, was at Slippery Rock, 2 rounds. And to this day, it is the number one most amount of steps I've taken in any day of this year. According to my Fitbit or my phone or whatever, it was the single most active stepped day. I didn't run any marathons. No, this year I didn't. So it was the single most stepped day, and it was the opening round or opening day of our World Championships. So
I had the same exact result that you had, Terry, to be honest with you.
You what's that?
My phone counts steps, and I always keep my phone in the side pocket of my bag. And I later on that night, I noticed that it was like something like 18,000 steps, which is like 5,000 steps more than my second most.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
I mean, like a considerable amount, which is just insane. It's just 2 rounds at a course that big and that many hills. It's brutal to start at the World Championship. So it's tough.
A little depressing on my birthday.
We're talking about World Championships. I have to give a shout out to Paul Macbeth for winning 4 of them, and I also have to mention that he's very lucky.
Yeah.
Apparently, he really likes it.
He is lucky.
He's lucky, like we discussed last week with Danny. He's lucky there were so many rounds.
Yeah.
Because without all those rounds, he's not winning.
No. Something like that.
No, he's definitely not the best. So he was lucky that there was so many rounds.
And we'll get to some more of those because I know that's obviously there's a really heated discussion going on about the best moments of the year, and obviously some of those involve Paul.
Did you see the big Facebook feud today between Paul and Drew?
I did not.
Oh,
was it about Paul's hair?
No, it was about Drew's glasses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get that in another segment. But
yeah.
So
Drew looked like Superman, and then like I just tuned in for a second, and I saw some sort of selfie pic of Paul's abs, and then that was it for me. I was done. So
Yeah.
I don't know what else happened. But
Yeah.
as soon as I started seeing people take pictures of their abs in the mirror, I'm done.
Yeah, Germ set it as his desktop background, and he closed out of Facebook. He was done.
that's it.
Immediately. I don't want to see that for another 5 minutes.
That's right.
What people are asking out on the board, there's 2 questions that are easy to get to right away, and one being, what's your off-season regimen? And I mean, obviously you're playing here, and we know things like Gentlemen's Club and all of those, and Memorial, and the tour is gonna roll back in less than 90 days. But do you really have an off-season regimen that you follow?
Well, I'd like to take it easy for a little bit. I feel like I've actually already done that. Once the USDGC rolls around, you really that's the end of the season, and after that, you just want to just take a deep breath. And I don't want to play any more high stress events after that. I just want to play fun events like Tupelo and Charleston the week before that. And I just want to have a good time with disc golf and remember why I play, as opposed to looking at it as a job, which can sometimes go either way. So what's important for me is having fun playing, going out and playing casual rounds and joking around. And, when I really want to focus on a certain part of my game to improve on, then I take that to the field by myself and take it away from other people. But when I'm playing golf and I'm actually just enjoying myself, that's my off-season style. That's really my regular season style too. I really just want to have a good time on the course. That's when I play my best. So, but outside of disc golf, what's important for me is working on a lot of my graphic design stuff, doing a lot of stuff with Do Squad, working with the Charlotte Disc Golf Club and businesses around here, and just trying to transition a little bit more of my time into that, because that's what I will be doing, when my playing days are over. It's what I'm passionate about. So, trying to find a nice balance between work and play. Although I don't really consider graphic design work, it's just something I do for fun. But special to this year, me and my girlfriend got a new puppy, and I've been spending all my time training that one and taking him out for pee and poop and just having a good time with her. And but yeah, just trying to you know have a good time off the course. And I think the best way to be successful on the course is to make sure all your ducks are in a row off the course.
Now, when I was down there for the USDGC, there was a pretty star-studded cast. It was pretty deep in terms of the talent at the putting league that I was there on Monday night. You were there, Schultz and Cam Todd, Brody Miller, a bunch of other great putters. Is that something that you find yourself at pretty much every week, or do you just, or not so much?
There was some debate on whether I was going to go tonight or not, but I decided to stay in because I had a very special meeting with Smashbox.
Oh.
So I was going to try to make it out there and come back in time for this, but yeah, I do like to go out there. It's in a really cool brewery called Sheer Creek Brewery, and this year they've added a ping pong table. They set up a little spike ball net. Me and my buddies play hacky sack between our rounds, and then you get to drink great beer. So it's an awesome, fun time with a bunch of people. Usually, I think the fewest number I've ever seen out there is like around 55, and then you'll get upwards of. I mean, it's a bunch of people. There's like 14 courts of 2 baskets, so there's probably like anywhere between 26 and 30 baskets out there. I'm not exactly sure how many it is, but I mean they're all filled and there's people waiting. So it's a really good time every Tuesday night. It's something to look forward to.
Now, a question that's come in multiple times, and we love to field our questions from out there. People want to know the knee pad. Do you use a knee pad? You need to use something when you kneel down. Is this is this a sponsor looking for a plug? But go ahead and give it. If so, what do you use when you're kneeling down?
Well, I've got a knee pad that's made by Death Putt, and now that would be a shout out to them, except they don't make that size knee pad anymore.
Oh.
I've contacted them recently, well, actually earlier in the season. I gave them a shout out one time, and I wanted to see if they could send me some more of them because I think they're awesome. The size that I use fits conveniently right in my putter pocket. And it's just something that I don't put my knee down on the ground anymore. I did it one time when I had the knee pad, and I was like, oh, the bag's 4 feet away from me. I'll just put my knee down. And it was like some soft pine straw, and then I put my knee down, and then like I didn't even realize it because it didn't hurt, but I put my knee down on some glass. And when I stood up, I looked down, there was blood all the way down to my ankle. Like where the heck did that come from? But you never know. And so just to keep dirt off your knee and just to make sure you don't cut it open, I always put a knee pad down. It's not in the way. It's lightweight. It's pretty awesome.
So one of the common questions that we ask a lot of our top pros as the game is evolving, we just talked about longer rounds, longer courses. People are talking about making the game harder, whether it's smaller baskets for putting, whether it's some kind of reduction either in the amount of discs you carry or how fast the discs are getting.
The fairway standstill throw.
Yeah, all of those types of things. Do you feel like there's any of those rules or equipment that possibly are heading in the right direction, or are you good with things the way they are?
To touch on the smaller baskets, that seems to be the most common suggestion for how to make the game harder. I think that it's got some merit. I think that it would be interesting. I would certainly like to do a test tournament with it before it was introduced to the national tour level or the major level. But I think that when people talk about the size reduction, they're thinking something drastic like cut it in half. And I think that's absolutely insane. There's a lot of putts that go in that catch the outside chains that would no longer catch if it was cut in half, which is fine. But you're still reducing a ton of putts if the chains are even brought in 2 inches per se on each side. So it would in total be about 4 inches skinnier. That's a huge difference. And I think that it could potentially create a better catching device because there would be less holes in the basket. There's definitely a better design out there than what we currently have. I think that the Prodigy T1 is definitely working on that. I think that they have found, the first round of baskets that they created solved the problem, but they didn't do it perfect, and then they're now adjusting that and they're making it better. And I think that that's really what the game's all about, is taking what we have, it's worked for a long time, and improving on it. And that's kind of where we are in this game. We're still, things are great. We got fast discs, and we've got all sorts of discs that fly left and right and straight and all that. But there's still ways to make them better and more efficient. And we're doing that with targets. We're doing that with bags. We're doing that with discs. And so it's really exciting to watch it all happen. But going back to the question, I think that a smaller target would definitely make the approaches more important. It would make the drives more important. It would make, obviously, putting, you would reward the best putters a little more. However, I think that the guys who are the best putters, they're striping the pole regardless.
Yeah,
True.
If they're striping the pole from 50 on a big target, they're going to be striping the pole on a small target, from a similar distance. It would introduce a little bit more fear, because there's less chains to slow you down if you're a couple inches further right. But like I said, I think that would be something that I would like to have a test course to really see what kind of difference it would make before you introduce it on a big level. Limiting the number of discs, I think, is silly. We all, for the most part, carry our own equipment. We don't have golf caddies that we pay. So it's like, it's a different game. So comparing it to golf
Sure.
is silly.
Do you feel like we've reached our and I know you're not necessarily a scientist or any physicist, but do you feel like maybe we've reached our maximum potential on distance? Design-wise?
I've heard from people that are experts in aerodynamics that these things can be made a lot faster.
Okay.
But I don't know if I believe it. I guess seeing is believing. We're at the maximum width that the PDGA allows in terms of driver. So that's, really how you create speed, is having a lot of weight in the rim. And then to have a lot of weight in the rim, you have to have a thinner flight plate, which creates inconsistency from run to run. So there potentially could be something faster, maybe something that's less stable, so it's easier to throw. You always see companies coming out with understable fast drivers, but I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of smart people behind the shapes of disc, the profiles, so I'm sure that they've tried most everything that really seems feasible, and I think that there's definitely room for improvement in some places, but I don't know if we can get much faster or more efficient. I guess time will tell.
Now, speaking of distance, you're known for obviously having big distance, forehand, backhand, from both sides. Is the distance world record something that concerns you? And if so, what are you doing to go get it?
I'd say that it concerned me for at least half of my playing time in the last 10 years, maybe even more. I think that I could potentially get somewhere near that record, and that might even break it. But I think it would have to take a lot more focus on just that, and not as much focus on playing disc golf, which is what I truly enjoy. Distance is fun, but I don't really go out there to throw the furthest shots. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6" with a 6'8" wingspan, so I throw this pretty far away without much effort. And so, that's great and all, but my passion isn't throwing far. It's just something that happens to come easy for me.
So this last weekend, we're going to transition a little into some specifics from this last weekend. I know we touched on them, but I was saying earlier before we had you on that you were inquiring about possibly some records out there in terms of most consecutive birdies, sanctioned or otherwise, and there was obviously a good debate and and conversation that ensued via your Facebook post. What did you find out? First of all, what were you asking exactly, and what did you find out? Are you the new record holder in birdies?
I guess you'd have to say it's unofficial because, well, my question specifically was, does anyone know what the record number for consecutive birdies is in a PDGA sanctioned tournament? Now, everyone's got a friend that the local pro, they've birdied 55 holes consecutive at their little course. Of course, it's different in sanctioned play when
Yep.
it's absolutely different, and you're also playing usually much tougher courses. So the records that I heard, one of the ways to define birdie was the old-fashioned way, which was a 2.
Sure.
And, originally when courses were shorter and discs didn't fly as far, every hole was par 3. So getting a 2 was the only way you could get a birdie. Even if the hole was 7,000 feet, if you got 4, it was a bogey.
Yep.
So they called a birdie a 2, and I believe Greg Williams is his name. He's from North Carolina, and he birdied 27 consecutive holes according to 2s. And that was at Horizons Park, which is a famous course in North Carolina, as it was the first course in North Carolina. Very short, mostly open, but there's some tricky wooded shots. It's not just pitch and putt every single hole. The holes are short, but there's some tight lines you got to hit. So, that's a very impressive streak for sure. I mean, 27 straight 2s is incredible. But the longest hole at
one second there, Germ. Hold on a sec. For some reason, you froze up in the most beautiful fashion.
Yeah, that's gonna be great for everybody.
So just hold on, everyone.
Yep, that looks like it's on his side.
Should we end it and call him back right away? We'll try that. We apologize about any of the static that's there. That's on Big Germ's microphone.
It sounds like it's some room noise or some static that's kicking through.
Which is kind of odd because when we tested earlier,
no, it was there.
Fine.
It was there subtly when we tested even.
It's not nearly as loud.
Yep.
All right, hang tight, everyone. Here on our.
We'll give him a call back,
which must have been something on his. Yeah, as you said, on his.
It's
side?
Definitely something on his side.
All the systems are a go on ours.
Yeah, we're going. So we're gonna answer this again.
All right, sorry about that. My computer just shut down on me.
And you sound a million times better.
Yeah, your sound before you were getting kind of like a hiss, like a room noise hiss or something, but this sounds awesome. And you as always, Germ, you look good.
You look good, buddy. Real good.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. So
this is on. So where'd you leave? Where'd I leave you?
Well, just so you know, there's going to be a beautiful screenshot that runs around tomorrow of when you had froze up talking to us. So we were talking about birdie 2s. You said 27 were done. You talked about the course, and then so that you were just transitioning from there. God, I was listening with my one good ear.
That's impressive, Terry.
Thanks.
Okay, so anyways, enough about Horizons Park. That actually happened to also be where Larry Leonard, Robert Leonard, wanted to get into. Can you see me?
I can see you. Yep, I killed the connection. Your internet is just a little flaky, but we're good.
Figures. Okay, so Larry Leonard shot 68 under out of 72 holes. He shot 37, 37, 37, 37. So that was, I guess, the record for most under in a tournament or whatever for 4 rounds. But that wasn't the question I asked. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I really just wanted to know, what's the consecutive birdie streak? And by birdie, I mean what we define a birdie as, which is how many shots it takes to get to a putting green plus 1. That's what par is. So 1 better or 2 better than par on every single hole for a consecutive streak of how many holes? What's the record? And according to what was given to me, the 27 was the longest 2 streak, but I do remember that Ken Climo parred his first hole on a 24-hole course and then birdied out the next 23. And it was an 11-17 rated round at the Fun and Sun.
Just a few years ago.
Because that was like the second 11-17 ever shot. It was a huge deal.
Yeah.
So I talked to Kenny about that, and he told me that he actually birdied the next 6 holes to start the round. So he got to 29. So that, as far as I'm concerned, was previously the longest streak. This weekend, however, I was 1 over through the first 4 holes of the second round, which is clearly not what I was looking for. And I think Barry and I tied the first round, and after those 4 holes, Barry had me by 4 strokes. So I was like, oh, okay, this is not someone you want to play with a 4-stroke deficit to. And I just went on a little streak, and I birdied out. I birdied the next 14 holes, and 2 of the holes of the last 14 were called par 5s. I'll say that they're soft par 5s because they really it wasn't too hard to get to the green in 2 shots, but I got 3s on them, which was definitely a birdie. So it was 14 consecutive to start to start the streak, but end my second round and end Saturday. Sunday started on the short course out at Tupelo Bay, which is a permanent course they have on the front side of the property. Very short course, pitch and putt, pretty much wide open. There's 1 par 4. I think in my previous 8 years of playing the tournament, my best score is like 7 or 8 down out there, which is kind of what you want to shoot. I've never birdied all 9 of them until this year. So I got all 9 of those, and so did Barry, actually. So we were still within 1 stroke because I think I finished the round on Saturday with a 1-stroke lead. So there was no letdown. He was right there on my tail still. So then you go over to the big course, which is 18 holes. And I started off with an eagle on hole 1, a birdie on 2, a birdie on 3, an eagle on 4, which is one of the toughest holes in the course. It's 880 feet through a tight tunnel, over water, with just a narrow landing area, and then it's about a 500-foot shot to the green over water. And I got my 3 on that one. It's the first time in 8 years I've ever 3'd that one. Excuse me. So I was off to a good start. I realized that that this is a really good start, and Barry was on a streak of his own, and in fact, he at this point was on somewhere near a 17-hole birdie streak, which makes it seem like this is a really easy course. I assure you, it's not as easy as it sounds, but in his 17-hole birdie streak, he had lost 3 strokes to me, so it was pretty fun. But then the next hole 5, is a par 3. I birdied that one. Next one was another par 3. I birdied that one. And these holes are anywhere between 340 and 390 feet. So it wasn't just like 200-foot pitch shots. Like, these were somewhat long, windy, up on baskets on top of mounds, where putting always comes into play. Every single hole individually, besides the 9 on the front side of the course, was a birdie that you felt good about. So I wasn't like feeling good. I wasn't feeling anything. It was just happening. Everything was just like so easy. And then my final birdie was actually an eagle on the hole that's 525 feet, I believe. And you have to clear 490 feet of water to go to the basket. And it's a hole that every single year I step up to it and I look at it, and the basket seems so far away. The water is so long that you're just like, there's no way I'm going to go for this. And there's a pretty easy bailout hyzer shot over to the left, and I never go for it. I always go for the green. I've actually deuced this hole for 4 consecutive years now. I've been stupid enough to go for the green and ended up working out. And it was my last chance to keep the streak alive. For deucing the hole in consecutive years. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And I went for it, and I put it about 15 feet away and tapped it in. And I missed a 30-foot birdie putt on the next hole. And then I realized, I looked back, I was like, oh my goodness. Wait a second, how many holes is that? And I started doing the math, and I put it together, and I was like, that was 30 consecutive holes of birdies or eagles. I was like, and that was 35 under on those holes. And I was a little bit amazed. Like, I typically, I expect to do well, but that's like way beyond my own expectations, of course.
Did you Instagram or tweet at that exact moment during the round, or no?
No, of course
Okay.
not.
Okay.
With all that all said and done there, that streak was nice and all, but I only had Barry by like 4 or 5 strokes. I mean,
Jeez.
like we had third place by like 17 strokes. There wasn't even a third place. It was just basically Barry and I battling. But I mean, there was a good battle for third and fourth, but they were way behind us.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I just felt like it was a moment, certainly a tournament memory that I'll never forget. I'll never birdie that many holes again in my life. I don't think anyone ever has ever birdied that many holes in a tournament. So, maybe they have, but
what everyone wants to know, I mean, they're saying on video, it's something I would say, being the video guy, who recorded all this?
That's a good question.
If anyone, I mean, it's a legitimate. I mean it totally sincerely. I just didn't know. Was there someone recording it?
No, it's not really that kind of event. I mean, there was one spectator who came by every once in a while on his little scooter and filmed us throwing on his cell phone, but it wasn't anything where he realized that there was anything special going on. And I never mentioned anything about it to anyone.
Sure.
So they didn't think to record it. And, it would be nice to look back and watch that. But fortunately, I have it all stored in my memory, so I can replay it in my mind as much as I want. But
did you keep the scorecards or anything?
No, I haven't. I was thinking about reaching out to Kirk Yo and seeing if he could take a picture of it and put it online. I'm pretty sure that he didn't do anything with those, but it was definitely it was something that would be nice to have on camera. But unfortunately, the best way to understand what it's like to do that would be to go out to Myrtle Beach next December.
Yeah,
sounds like a plug.
Hey, I'm sure Kirk doesn't mind.
No.
If you like having a good time, I mean, that's the kind of course that you want to go out there and just finish the year off. And like I said, we were sweating on Sunday. You can't beat that, or on Saturday. You can't beat that in December.
Yeah, and we were talking about it earlier before you joined us, of course. Not too much going on in the PDGA calendar. Obviously, this year's wrapping up. I think also with the 26th being a Saturday, obviously following, just that weekend's going to be a little too close. So I think you're seeing less events than normal to wrap up the year. I moved my event from what's normally the 26th up to this upcoming weekend on the 19th for that reason. So that answers the question. No more sanctioned golf for you to finish out the year?
Absolutely not. Finish the year off with 5 wins and a lot of fun, and that's the way I want to end the year, the way that it ended, for sure. Don't want to mess it up by playing something else.
So I was just gonna say, now you've been successful the last few weekends, haven't you? Did you win the weekend before? Did I see? Or no?
Yeah, did. I won in Charleston against a really good field, and I've won the Charleston Classic 3 times and the Tupelo Bay 3 times, but I've never won them consecutive weekends. They're always consecutive weekends in December, but I've never won them back to back. So this is the first time that's ever happened, and it feels good. This is going into the last 2 weeks. It was easily my lowest number of wins in a season since I started playing, and I really focused in the last 2 weeks and put a little bit extra into it. I give my best every weekend, but there was something a little bit more that I was fighting for these last 2 for some reason. And it felt good to end the season the right way.
A couple weeks ago, right here on this very podcast, our friend Dynamite Danavici gave you a big hug from Smashbox, as we like to give you out each week. And the very next weekend, you went on to win. So,
hey, something to it, I guess.
I'm just saying, Dana gave you the big hug. You turned around and then won. So there's something to be said there.
So basically, go find Dana and give him a hug.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering if you're going to ask me if I'm going to give someone else a hug.
You can give your puppy a hug. What's your puppy's name?
Our puppy's name is Finley Grace Koling.
Finley, okay.
And is that the Instagram name as well for your puppy?
Not yet. Soon, there'll be an Instagram name soon, I'm sure.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'll say we're both very, very proud of our little puppy.
So you've had you're wrapping up this year. You're going to ride it into next year. Clearly, there's been a ton of talk about all the different tours. We talk about them here weekly. There's some updates in the last week regarding the World Tour, talking about their rankings that have come out. The American Tour just announced Billy Crump yesterday as their commentator. So there's a lot of different things. The Pro Tour, I think, announced some kind of registration. The American Disc Golf Tour, Chris Kilgis and the rest of the crew, they announced yesterday that Billy Crump is going to be the commentator that they're going to have in there. That will be on the ESPN3 airing of their event. So there's a lot of tour talk. Is there? I guess it sounds like maybe we surprised you with one of them, but is there anything you feel like you need to chime in on any of that action that you're seeing? I mean, how are you taking all this in?
Well, it's all exciting. I mean, since I've been playing, there's pretty much been one structure, and we've all had to do that because that's what's available to us. And I think that a lot of the players have demanded more in some respects in the tour, and I think a lot of the spectators have demanded more as well. That's not a knock on the PDGA necessarily in terms of the way that they run the national tour, but we want more. And I think that it was time, and a lot of very influential people in our game, Steve Dodge, UC Maresma, they stepped up and they said, what can I do to make this happen? And I really respect their efforts, and I'm excited. I don't really know what to expect, but I'm definitely excited, and I try not to get too giddy with excitement about things that are new to disc golf. I like to just let them happen, and if it turns out to be terrific, that's great. But I am kind of a little bit giddy with excitement about this because it's a new opportunity for a lot of different touring, a lot of different exposure to the game in a lot of different places. And working with Steve Dodge before this, before all this, just talking to him, he's such a receptive tournament director that if something goes wrong or if there's an issue, it doesn't even have to be wrong. If there's just something that you want to talk to him about, he's always there. He's always listening. And he understands that tournaments aren't perfect. No matter how well it's run, it's never perfect. And he wants to get as close as he can to that step. And, I just have so much respect for what he does and all the work he does. So I'm really excited to see what the Pro Disc Golf Tour has to offer. He's always reached out to the touring players and asked for our honest input, and we've given it to him because we know that he can accept it. And that's really how you can really tell what a true tournament director is made of, is his ability to listen and adapt. And I can say the same things about UC. Honestly, the way that he listens and the way that he blows the game up in exposure, it's just like it's unmatched. And it's so anything that he does, I want to be a part of it. Anything that Steve does, I want to be a part of it. So, with that on top of the national tour next year, we're going to have our hands full with a lot of different disc golf tournaments.
Do you plan on going overseas for any of the World Tour events yet, or have you not decided?
Well, no, I'd certainly love to go overseas. I'm not sure how many times. I've never gone to Europe more than once in a year, and there'll certainly be a lot of opportunities to do that next year. And I'm not sure how long I'll be over there, but there's definitely I definitely plan to at least make it to Yarva. I mean, without a doubt, Yarva and the Beast are my two favorite courses in the world, and there's no place I'd rather play a disc golf tournament. And so you'll see me there for sure.
Yeah, no, and that speaks volumes when you're talking about someone as well traveled as yourself. When you can, so easily pick some of your favorites, that says a lot about it. So to say when UC made the announcement that they were going to go back and play the Beast again this year, which wasn't maybe necessarily on the schedule,
wasn't the original plan.
You're more than okay with that. They are playing the Beast. Previously,
this coming year.
Yeah.
They just changed it up like.
First I've heard of that.
Yeah, it was like a little over a week.
Inside the Smash Box, Big Germ.
It was like a little over a week ago. I think they made the announcement that there was going to be no.
There wasn't going to be a third U.S. tour stop.
Correct, and they're moving from
the Czech
Republic back over to Nokia.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was actually kind of excited to check out the Czech. No,
The check.
yeah, exactly. But oh well, we'll see it next time, Czech, because the
Yeah.
Beast is where it's at. I mean, it's just like literally every year. So like you go 2 years from playing the Beast, and then you go over to Sweden, you play Yarva, and like so like on the odd years or the even years, whatever year I'm playing Yarva, I'm like, oh yeah, this is clearly my favorite place in the world to play disc golf. And then the next year I'm at the Beast, I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe this is my favorite course, but like I'm gonna play them both next year. Oh my gosh, like that's awesome because yeah, they're the land is perfect. You just have elevation and water, and you have placement shots, par fours, par fives that actually have like difficult professional landing zones, and the way it's manicured, it's just beautiful. I mean, it's just hard to not love where you're at, and then you're playing disc golf, and you're like, oh yeah, this is amazing. So that's really exciting.
And you may
Yeah.
have one less world champion to contend with this year. Avery
Well,
Jenkins announcement
uh,
that he's going to be doing some announcing and commentating, and we may not see him, throwing as many discs this year.
Yeah.
That's one world champ. That's
that's I'm in a message board with Avery, and it's a quite active message board. Shout out to the nation, and we give him plenty of feedback on his commentary. Let me just say,
I was just going with the fact that I've said it before. Avery, I feel like, is missing out on some of these opportunities because for so many years he's really wanted to push course design and specific
Consistency
and course structure
Yep.
and
Sure.
some of the infrastructure that you find at courses. And now I feel like UC and Disc Golf Park are kind of putting all those pieces in the puzzle together for him. But now he's going to be on the wrong side of the tee pad for that, so to speak.
well, he's been there and he's done that his whole life. And interesting fact about Avery, he's never had a job outside disc golf. He's never had to clock in anywhere. So this is
Really,
perfect.
no high school job or anything like that, or
As far as I'm concerned, he's never had a job, and so and so this is perfect for him. This is what he lives and breathes for, and as most of us do. But he has a good clear speaking voice, and he knows how to really break down the game for in a layman's way for the people that don't really understand what's going on with professionals. He's been there, he's done that. Multiple multiple major champion, multiple national tour champion. He's been all around the world several times, and probably as many countries, maybe not quite as many as Dave, but maybe more. I'm not sure, but either way, you want somebody like that that's so well rounded in knowledge about the game, who's literally lived his entire life breaking it down for people, and it'll be a good thing for the world tour for that.
For sure. Now, yesterday, and again, I don't know if it was breaking news to you or not, but the American Disc Golf Tour did announce that they're going to be working with Billy Crump. He's going to be calling the shots. Billy Crump, North Carolina boy, nature boy, and me and Billy go all the way back to him ready to throw fists on my behalf.
not at you?
No, not at me. On my behalf in 1998 at the Amateur World Championships. He literally got between me and another guy and was ready to throw fists on my behalf. So him and I go way back. He's going to be calling the shots at the American Disc Golf Tour. Any input on that tour? I mean, obviously there's a lot of hype on these other two that have greater length to them, but this American Tour, May 14th and 15th.
About the American Disc Golf Tour, I know Chris Kilgus, and I mean he's a guy from down here in this area, in this region, and we used to battle it out back in the amateur days, and I don't really know much about the American Disc Golf Tour, so I really don't know what to say about it. I hope that it goes well, and I hope that it turns out to be everything that they are saying it's going to be. And I'm not really sure what events are being played. All I've heard is rumors, and I haven't really done much research on my own. But I think that bringing Billy Crump along for the ride is interesting choice. Billy's, he's the guy that did all the commentary for all the videos that I was watching when I first started playing.
All the Clash
And
DVDs,
I'm sure it's just
Yep.
all the Clash videos. I even actually filmed a couple clashes with Billy Crump, although they never made it to production, which was a total bummer because I kicked butt in those videos,
Of
and I was
course.
really looking forward to having a 100-foot throw-in on the fountain hole at Charleston be displayed for everyone to watch. But anyways,
Yeah.
Billy's what a character he is. He's from my hometown here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and really right down the road. And if I wanted to go see Billy tomorrow, we could go have lunch. But
Is that
yeah, I
Matthew?
haven't really
Is that
seen or heard
Matthews?
much from the guy, so it's exciting to hear that he's coming back in the game a little bit.
No, it's going to be great. So big shout out to Billy Crump, Nature Boy, and and it was funny because we had a conversation that some of this newer generation doesn't necessarily know Billy. I mean,
No.
we go way back with Billy. Billy's from your hometown,
Jeez.
and all that other stuff. But
Yeah.
there's people you got to think. If you weren't watching Clash. Or you weren't maybe involved, back in the Winnie, when the Dolphin crew,
the Dolphin tour, yeah.
and all those guys, Schwebby and Brian McCree and all those guys, you may not have that history. So having Billy on the scene with all of his, knowledge and background, and obviously I was right there with Billy doing some volunteer work over at Disc Golf Planet when that was getting off the ground originally.
Oh yeah.
So it should be awesome to see. So shout out to Billy and the rest of the crew. So good stuff.
Yeah.
I know the American.
People
Go ahead.
on all the Billyisms. People are going to be familiarized with the torturance and the furderance and
Yep.
getting your feeding corrected. It's going to be terrific.
Pro side, am side, all that good stuff. There's a whole lexicon that Billy's gonna throw at people.
Yes.
Oh man.
Some funny things coming out on the board. All right, we'll get back to some of that later. And one thing it's going to do, and we just talked about it, there's people that will love what Avery's going to do, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Avery's got his own way of going about things. I think he's great. People love what Billy does. People love that crazy John. People love and dislike what I do. Everybody has their own style, their own unique personalities. And I was just thinking the other night in watching, it was a few weeks ago actually, watching one of the Monday Night Football games. I was just thinking about the list of comments that will come in as to, oh God, not these guys again, or what? Maybe it wasn't a Monday night, it was actually a Sunday. But whoever was calling the shots, and it's always like, oh, get so and so off the air. I hate them. There's always some of those out there for every single announcer across the board, probably in every sport. So
That can't please everyone.
yeah,
Henry Childress, we watch Monday Night Football almost every week. He absolutely hates Mike Tirico, and he has never explained
Really?
to me why he hates him. Absolutely hates him. Anytime that Mike Tirico talks, at least once a game, he says, "Shut up, Mike Tirico," and I don't know why. I really don't know. I think that Mike Tirico's fine. I don't really have anything but positive feelings towards him. But it's so funny. He just doesn't like him for some reason.
That's hilarious because going off subject, because Tirico tends to be one of the people that everybody seems to like. He's kind of he's universally
Henry.
He's universally known as like one of the better announcers. Huh.
Not to Henry Childress.
not to Henry.
Childress.
That's Henry. Sorry, buddy.
So I was gonna say let's roll into 2016 a little bit. What's your next big event that you plan on hitting up?
Well, as of right now, the Gentlemen's Club is the only tournament that I'm thinking about. There's a chance I might find some fun tournament to play in this area sometime in January. But I'm not really planning on doing anything big before Gentlemen's Club. I'm going to start off the same way I did last year, hopefully with a decent finish there and a win at Memorial.
You don't want to up your game and win at Gentlemen's and Memorial. You're gonna settle for okay. All right, good.
Okay.
You've got a pattern. You're sticking to it.
Let's talk about, because it's a hot topic, and it will be, whether people love it or not. It's a hot topic talking about sponsorships right now. Last week, Paul and Kat actually chimed in privately. I didn't see it on the board originally, saying we're not going anywhere. We're staying with our own sponsors. Your good friend and World's Doubles Championship teammate, Paige Pierce gets discussed quite often when it comes to sponsorships. Lots of different players, lots of different sponsors, and this is the time for things to start shifting. Any announcements you'd like to make one way or another?
Nothing big, man. I'm staying with Deuce Squad. I'm staying with Prodigy. I'm not really. I don't really think anyone else is being added. Nothing
Okay.
to know of right now, but nothing's changing for me. I mean, I've got nothing. I got no reason to change. You know, I mean, Prodigy's been awesome. We're coming out with a bunch of really awesome new stuff next year. Just seen some pictures of some stuff that will be released at a later time, and
You can tell us. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, sure. Just apparel stuff. I mean, just some nice looking stuff, you know, and some discs that'll be coming out that'll be great for just a broader scale of different stabilities and speeds and stuff like that. So it's going to be, we're all really excited. You know, we're doing really well at Prodigy, and I mean, there's just nothing that I can say bad about anything. You know, I mean, I love rocking Deuce Squad stuff. I mean, I do a lot of the designs for them, and it's fun to be a part of the company and be good friends with the people that I represent. So.
All right, so we'll give you an easy one. I told them they'd have to wait till the end of your segment. Deuce Squad, just deucesquad.com. Is that where they can check it out? A few people have been asking about your hat and your gear. That's where you can check it out. Is that correct? Deuce Squad?
Yeah, deucesquad.com. He's got hats in stock. I actually talked to him today. He's got a bunch of new Prodigy. It's a huge stock of stuff. So
Okay.
he'll be good for he's always good for answering questions. He's super active on Facebook. So Brady Han is your dude. You need anything, reach out to him. And we've got some stuff in store for me coming out towards the beginning of next season. Possibly some hats with some Big Germ logos and a little Deuce Squad Big Germ combo stuff on some apparel. And so we're gonna be doing that towards the beginning of 2016. But yeah, deucesquad.com. That's where you can check him out.
All right, there you go, Brady Hanna. There's your. We've officially made up to you after me calling you out a few weeks ago for not showing up to my tournament. So, so yeah, check out deucesquad.com. Yeah, he's a great guy, and like Big Germ just said, huge new inventory of Prodigy action. So you could certainly check that out. Your partner, Paige Pierce, lots to talk about her. What can you tell us?
I haven't really talked to Paige. I've just seen pictures of her on social media, and occasionally I get a Snapchat from her.
Yeah, she's on a. She seems like every time I see a picture of her on social media, she's on a boat. I don't know if they're just old pictures or she just tends to hang around the ocean a lot.
Yeah, some of the pictures from back in March they resurfaced at some point, and people were saying it's snowing here, and we're like, no, this is back in March, and they're like, it was still snowing here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But no, I like talking to Paige, but like she's the kind of person that like I don't have to talk to her every week, and I can see her. She stayed at my house for a night or so when I had my birthday party week during the USCGC. Her and Madison came by and they stayed at the place, and it's just family. So like when I see her, it's like no time has passed. But that doesn't mean that I talk to her that often. I haven't really reached out to her in the last month or so. So I don't really know what's going on with her, honestly. She hasn't talked to me about her plans, but I as far as I'm concerned, I don't know that she's going anywhere else. So,
all right. Well, she tells us because she's so her sponsorship considerations are talked about so frequently. She keeps telling us that if she's got news, she'll step into the Smashbox, share it with us. We just thought
sure she would.
Yeah,
she likes the spotlight, but I mean, she's a hot commodity. Who wouldn't want her on her team? I mean, she's
team
Smashbox.
Smashbox.
Easily number one and sometimes number two in the world. I mean, like, but there's clearly no debate that she's like just absolute beast mode all the time.
Is it fair to say, because there's so much chatter on our board, tell everyone you love the A1 or not? Because it seems I think people are more concerned about your comments on the A1 right now than anything else you could tell us, than 58 birdies in a row. What do you think of the A1?
I love the A1.
Okay.
if anyone likes the H1, then you're gonna like the A1 just for slower shots. I actually am still learning the disc, to be honest with you. Even though it's overstable, which is very consistent, there's still some learning curve to it. It's unlike anything I've ever thrown before in that it actually seems to get more overstable the harder you throw it. Don't know how that makes any sense, but I'm trying to figure out the perfect speed of release and the angle of release for me. Actually, the more I beat it up, the more overstable it gets. So it's really the most backwards disc that I can think of. But it's, it does what you want it to do. If you want something slow and overstable, I've heard comparisons of to Justice, but the Justice is not really the same speed. It's a little bit faster, but I don't know. It doesn't quite. The Justice never really felt that great in my hand when I thrown it, but I think it's a fine disc. But this isn't quite the same. It's a little bit different.
Sure.
I really didn't work with it that much. Probably only threw the Justice twice when somebody was just like, "Hey, throw this thing. It's so crazy." And so, but that's kind of how this thing is. I told Josh Childs 2 weeks ago at Charleston Classic to throw it with hyzer because it was really flippy, and he had no idea what the disc was. So he's like, "This doesn't feel flippy, but all right." And I was like, "Trust me, it's flippy." So he threw it with a lot of hyzer, and it went 40 feet, crashed into the ground. He was like, "What are you talking about, man?"
Well, you didn't even know it, and I actually wasn't trying to set you up for a perfect segue, but you just provided one. We're going to move into the Throwers' Choice Awards. Zach and the guys over at All Things Disc Golf, they have 4 main awards, being the Disc of the Year, the Male and Female Players of the Year, and the Moment of the Year. So with what you just said, you mentioned the A1, you mentioned the Justice, Disc of the Year, and I know you don't get a chance. You just said you've thrown other manufacturers' plastic. It's not like this big, bar that you can't.
It doesn't burn you like a vampire when you touch it.
Exactly.
You can.
If somebody has a putter on the ground and I throw it back to them, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to call Prodigy." It's every single time. I get it. That joke is so old, but people still say it. It's
yeah.
All right, man.
I know.
Yeah. If I see a disc, the reason I play disc golf is because I like watching things fly. So if something that flies comes near me, I'm going to make it fly.
Yep.
So they've narrowed it
that's
down.
Just how I am.
If you go out to allthingsdiscgolf.com, you can obviously check it out. But they opened it up, I believe, anywhere from last December to this November. If a disc was released and had availability to be purchased online, so it was a major production. And some of the discs that were narrowed down to include the Discmania FD3, the Latitude 64 Ballista, the Reptilian Disc Golf Serpent.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
That's because you never play much disc golf.
I know.
The Justice.
The Reptilian Disc Golf Serpent. Have you heard of that?
Not a lot of your
Thank
friends.
you.
Well, not a lot of your friends are sponsored probably by them. But
No, I'm just saying I had never heard of that.
The Justice, the Sampo, the Reptilian Disc Golf Scale, the Bard, the Convict, and the Evidence. Those are what they've been narrowed down to.
What was your go-to disc this year from Prodigy? If you had to pick one that you felt most comfortable with, what was it this year?
Well, since it came out, the D1's been my go-to.
Okay.
I've got 7 of them in my bag. So
I think I heard Terry complain about that at one of the events. He was like, we were trying to do commentary. He's like, every time he pulls out a disc, I just have to say it's the D1, and 90% of the time, I'm going to be right.
Yeah, I've got one for straight short shots, which is strange, but I do. I've got ones for long flexes. I've got thumbers that are D1s that are a little bit flatter. Some of the earlier runs that just came out a little funky, but they turned out to be terrific for thumbers. I've got some that are meant to be headwind discs, some that are meant to be tailwinds. I've got so many in my bag that I've become really comfortable with that disc. And, any sort of drive, there's almost about a 75% chance, maybe 80% chance that I'm throwing a D1.
Okay.
But in for shorter wood shots, the H3 is an incredible disc, and I'm surprised that wasn't nominated for one of the discs of the year because I think it's one of the best discs ever made.
Now remember, and again, and I'm glad I talked to Zach prior to tonight. All the discs were eligible, as I said, in that time frame, and then there was a preliminary voting period, and now the list I just gave you is what it's been narrowed down to.
Sure.
So it certainly could have been nominated or discussed or been out there, but it's all about the voting that now they're narrowing it down to.
Sure.
But let's talk about something that Jeremy is nominated for.
What?
Well, you're actually nominated in 2 categories: Male of the Year.
Player of the Year.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean,
Okay, do you want to talk about that one first then, since we're there?
Yeah, duh. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
I won one tournament that people knew about. That was
well,
done.
bam.
Clearly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, no offense to Jeremy, and I'm sure he agrees, but I don't think there's really a fight for that one. I think
Yep.
Paul's going to run away with that. So
Okay.
let's move on.
Oh, I thought we were talking about someone else.
Oh yeah, well, it's Rico. Rico's gonna win. So let's
clear the air here. It's because he got lucky. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Clearly, and he's gonna get lucky here too. He's probably gonna stuff the ballot box. He's just gonna pay people to vote for him. So,
that's all
but
he cares about is winning Player of the Year.
Yeah.
That's all he cares about.
That is definitely
just
his top concern.
But let's move on to something you actually did just talk about. You're also nominated under Moment of the Year for your battle with Paul in the Memorial Championship. I've gone on record to say I think that your putt on 18 at the Memorial was probably the highlight of the year. Just the circumstances, for me personally, the circumstances and the shot and your reaction was just it was picture perfect. I mean, it was the minute it was out of your hands. Not quite the minute, but within about 5 feet, both your hands are in the air, and you almost know it's going in, shy of something ridiculous kicking it out for some reason, but you knew it had a goddamn good chance to go in. So would you, maybe you're biased, would you pick that as the moment of the year? Or can you think of something else this year that sticks out more to you? I mean, that might be tough.
Well, I mean, I can only speak personally for how I felt about that moment. I mean, I'll say that I've spent many conversations about disc golf this year has, in one way or another, come from people in different parts of the country that, obviously they watched it live or they watched the video afterwards and they want to talk about it. And I tell you what, man, I have no problem talking about it because I'd like to move past it, but it's so hard for me to move past it because it's so clearly the moment of my life in terms of athletic achievement.
Sure.
I mean, not necessarily that it's hard. It's weird to say that because
Well, I mean, you
there's
have
other things
another.
I aspire to do in the game, but that moment, that feeling, I guess what I mean is the feeling. I've never had a rush, like a true
Sure.
adrenaline rush that quite struck me that way.
Yeah, because your other NT victory was a little different circumstances the year
Sure.
before.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
Like I'd written myself off because of Ricky's consistency for that kind of approach, and with the unlucky roll that he had off the back wall, it was like, oh man, I just kind of stole it, but I'll take it. It's my first one.
Yeah.
But this one was, at the Memorial, it was, I mean, as truly earned as it can be. I mean, if you've ever played at Vista and at Fountain Hills, to like really understand what it means to not go out of bounds in 72 holes, it's like I think about it and I'm like, nah, that didn't happen. Like, surely I went out of bounds. Like I've literally recounted in my head. Like I've gone back. I'm like, no, I had to have gone out of bounds somewhere. Like that's not possible.
Yep.
And I was like, can you go out of bounds on every single hole? And I'm like, yep, every single hole, all 72 holes. Well, actually 36.
Yeah.
They're out of bounds somewhere. I mean, some of them you'd have to be a moron to go out of bounds, but it's possible.
Sure.
And well, actually, no, it was 54 holes. I forgot there was 3 courses last year.
Yep. Now, do you feel like when you put in for the win on the playoff hole on hole 1, do you feel like that wasn't as exciting maybe because of what you just accomplished on 18?
Yeah, when that putt went in, getting to that point, I had made maybe 2 putts outside the circle. Like me being in that position was purely because of consistency off the tee. And it wasn't that I was putting bad. I just wasn't being forced to make a lot of long putts. And it's not necessarily, I don't think people out there are like, oh yeah, Jeremy, watch out for those 60 footers. That's not my game.
60-foot downhill on that sloped green. I mean,
right.
And
but like that was a little bit of a shock for me. In fact, I'll share a moment with you leading up to that shot, the putt. Richard Kielander, who was my caddy and my big Swedish buddy, really love it when he's on the bag because he's such a good friend of mine. And I looked over at him, and I was like 65 feet or whatever it was away, and it was downhill leading to the water. And Paul was, he was 45 feet away, but he was still considerably closer than me, and he is known for those big putts. So it was a moment where I was like, I know I have to make it. There's not even a chance I lay it up. In any other tournament situation, I lay that putt up. You don't even think about going for it.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can make this putt. So I look over at Richard, and I'm like, hey, should I throw a sidearm at it? He's like, no, throw a thumper. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I grabbed my thumber disc, and I line it up, and I look at him. And this is literally moments before I putted the shot. And like I'm lining up a thumber, looking at him, and I'm like, it's probably not the best idea. He's like, I don't know, maybe. And so I put my thumber disc back in the bag, and I grabbed my putters, and like that was my mentality going into it. For me, regardless of that putt going in or not, I had already won because I'd had the time of my life for 71 holes and 71 and a half holes. And the worst I could do at that moment. Well, actually, right before that, I actually didn't think about the situation, but I was thinking to myself, like, what an amazing thing going on right now. Like, the crowd was there, but it really wasn't there. And there's all these emotions going on that you're just trying to be relaxed and not change anything with your heart beating and the way that you're breathing in air. And just, it's just a moment that, it's hard to really describe what happened because I don't really putt Anheuser.
Yeah,
stuff to it.
That was going to be my other response, was that it was a different style putt than what you normally throw. It was almost like a longer, like a half layup. Like I don't want to roll away, and if I miss, I'm going to kind of be close.
Yeah,
but just give it a chance.
That might have been a little bit to it. I just know that my typical putt from that distance would be with a hyzer finish, and you can't have a hyzer finish if you miss the basket on that, because then you give him the chance to lay it up under the basket without even having to make the tough putt. So, anyways, when the putt came out of my hand, Ulibarri, who does putt that way, knew immediately. He's like, "Oh my God, that's going in!" And he was, if you've ever watched the video of the reaction, he's the first one that rushes up to me, and having shared that moment with him was that made the moment even greater, because I honestly can't describe the tingles in my body, but it was, if I can ever experience a feeling like that again for the rest of my life, then it'd be a once in a lifetime opportunity twice, which you just can't ask for. So.
Yeah.
Well, and it was also conveniently during one of our most live viewed broadcast of the entire year. I mean, obviously it's the Memorial. Lots of people are tuning in. The time, the place, the time of year, all those things. But it was also during our live viewing that may have been the pinnacle of our live viewing the entire season, which definitely says something too, which is pretty cool.
We're not positive we're covering the Memorial this year. We're still working some things out. But if you could do that again, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay.
Honestly, I only did half the battle. What made that moment great wasn't, for me, that feeling is to me, like, that's not the moment of the year. Making that putt is great and all, but that's not the moment of the year.
Okay, so
just that. But it's certainly in consideration as soon as Paul makes his putt, because that moment was only as special as the camaraderie was after he made that putt, because I was genuinely hoping that I wasn't going to win the tournament on him missing. I didn't want to win with a mistake.
Yeah, you wanted him to throw a B on the next hole. And you wanted him to lose his disc in the water. I know. I got it.
Yeah, I suppose that's a different. I mean, if you think about it, that's a completely different situation. If for some reason Paul, if they're within like a foot or two, Paul goes first, misses, and then Jeremy hits it, that's a huge win. But you hit it first, and then you have to think like, yeah, I want to win, so I'm not going to be sad if Paul misses, but that's not how I want to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to feel because a part of me was thinking, okay, so once that putt went in, it was like, okay, now officially, no matter what you do, you are going to at least tie for a win at this tournament. And that to me, like my best finish being like 14th place in the previous like 6 tries was just so, like I didn't even understand it. Like I couldn't comprehend it. Like I was just so relieved that you know my opportunity had really finally came at that event. And you know, I honestly, me and Ulibarri were talking the week before at Las Vegas, and like, who do you think is going to win the Memorial? You know, we always have these conversations. Who's going to win next weekend? Well, we've kind of stopped having those conversations because we pretty much it's not so much a gamble anymore. You can pretty much have a safe bet. There's usually one guy at the top every tournament now, but so we were talking like, would you take a 500 to 1 bet against Paul? And I said, no, I wouldn't take that. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to beat Paul at that tournament. You know, like I don't know why I say these kind of things, but like
Motivation for yourself.
I guess I'm just realistic, or I try to think that I'm realistic, but maybe it's not. I don't know. So I was in another world. It wasn't a realistic world that I was living in because that's not my style of play. You know, I play a different style of play. I prefer like short woods shots and beating you with a technical play and then having some long shots. But that open shot consistency with having to make putt after putt after putt, that's not necessarily my style. And clearly it's his style because he's won the tournament multiple times. And so
shot a 17 down there.
And I realized the worst I can do is tie the best in the world at his most dominating tournament. I mean, that's pretty good. So when he made that putt, it was just you know, he turned back and he pointed at me, and actually I screenshotted that picture when he turned back and looked at me and pointed, and that's on my phone. That's what comes up when he calls, and that's one of the most unforgettable moments of my personal career for sure. Like not winning, not me making that putt, but him looking back and pointing at me like, gotcha, like game's on.
Yeah.
You know?
Got him, as our friend Kyle would say.
Well, you're a pretty well-traveled guy, and you've obviously been to all the major events this year. Were there any other moments? I'm not going to read off some of the moments of the year until anything that sticks out to you other than that this year?
Of course. There were some truly amazing moments this year. You know, I mean, Paul 4-timing with the back-to-back 15 down rounds is it's pretty insane. But also the World Championships. I mean, I'll be honest. I certainly was distracted by what was going on with the female division.
Yep.
That's
another one here in the running.
Yep. I was gonna say you nailed one. You nailed 2 of them, obviously with Paul, and then with Sarah Hokum and her situation at the Worlds.
Sarah and Paige they're both good friends of mine. Well, I'd like to think that pretty much anyone in the disc golf family is a friend of mine, but they're definitely special friends because I've toured with them for so long, and they've been teammates and people I've shared so many laughs and so many good times with. And when you hear that one of your good friends who's just kicking ass just got in a car wreck while she's winning the World Championships, coming off of easily her worst season in 2014 ever, where she was reaching out to me and other players and just trying to figure out how can she get better. And it was taking an emotional toll on her, and to see her change her game and improve and not let it get her down and then come back and then have that taken from her when it wasn't even her driving fault, it was someone else's fault. Like, it just was like, I mean, that there's got to be a movie at some point when disc golf gets bigger. Like, that moment, that whole tournament, everything leading up to it is truly a cinematic moment. Like I get emotional thinking about it now.
We'll do an ESPN 30 for 30 on that.
Yeah, there's
Why
talk.
not?
I know some people have kind of semi-seriously discussed that, and I won't rehash it all. But yeah, I was there when she arrived. I was there when the delay was happening. I was there when all the women were talking amongst themselves, and the conversations about holding up the tournament and holding up the round. And I remember when I first pulled into the park. That was the very first news I heard. I had left to get something for lunch, and I came back to film. And that's when somebody said Sarah was in an accident, and I knew she was in the lead. And that was the round they were playing that afternoon. And there was just so many things that kind of unfolded from there. And we've had Paige on here to talk about it, and it's clearly, like we said, another moment of the year. I'm going to kind of just quickly talk about a few of the others that have been whittled into, or exalted into, either way. Some of the moments of the year, the new tours for next year. Obviously important. All the aces on SportsCenter. I mean, we've seen literally a handful of them in various ESPN capacities, whether it's Devin's on the website or Felberg's and Pages.
That one. I was next to him on that one.
Yeah. So those are all conversations that were Kenny winning his 15th. Unfortunately, I mean that Kenny winning Worlds isn't new news. It's a moment, but. Kenny and Masters, obviously Michael Joe getting his first NT, and
That's
knocking off
special.
Paul to do it. You just kind of talked about someone's over $200,000 raised in the St. Jude, charity event. Obviously, I think that's huge for disc golf. Jessica Weiss got her first NT win. Macbeth with setting a record of over 71,000 in winnings.
Lizotte, his Ledgestone win.
His first win. Anthony Barella winning Am Worlds. Paige taking 5 out of the 7 NTs. And then last but not least, Macbeth winning all 5 majors. And then of course we said your putt and the playoff and so on. Is there a clear-cut winner to you? I mean, those are all very special moments. And you were present for a lot of them. Is there a clear?
I was right next to so many aces this year that I'm surprised I wasn't on ESPN. I really am. Well, my vote would have to go to the battle for the female world championships.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about moments that's like the drama behind the friendship there with Paige. Not even really wanting to win. Like, she wanted to do her best. She's going to be true to the game, and she's going to give her best. She's not going to throw away strokes because of the situation, but not feeling like a winner because she knew who the real champion was, regardless of what the score came out to.
Sure.
It's just touching. And it's tough because I honestly, I remember I was thinking back to the memorial several times, thinking, man, like that's such a great moment, but it'll be overshadowed by so many things by the end of the season because it's the beginning of the season. But I still feel like that's up there. I feel like that's
for sure.
That's truly a moment that I think that not just me and Paul won't forget, but a lot of people who were there in person or were watching it. I've had so many people talk to me, and most of the people that I've talked to the longest about it were people in Finland and Estonia when I went and did a clinic in Estonia this year. And so it just is touching to me to see how much of a following we're getting internationally. And that's a moment that probably wasn't nominated, but all the media coverage that disc golf's getting and how big that's getting and how much exposure, I'd love to see the increase of people who played, how many rounds were played this year versus last year versus the year before that. Obviously who knows, but
it's there's been a lot of growth and excitement, and I think even from our perspective, that's where we feel like our job should never get dull. There's never going to be something that's not going on because there's just so many things for us to get into and things to be a part of. It's certainly been pretty amazing, and like I said, a pinnacle moment for people watching around the world, watching you live, and how that all unfolded. And we got to thank Discraft and the Memorial for having us out there. The year before it didn't work out; there wasn't any live coverage, and we all made it work. So we're looking forward to to being out there again next year.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges that I think may or may not ever come to light on it, and it's not an original thought of just mine, I'll say that, but I think one of the challenges with the moment that you're discussing, which I experienced personally, there's a little context that almost needs to be there. And I worry that that might get lost. Because if you say someone got in a car accident and then a day or two later didn't win, and then so it's some people may say, well, is the moment that Paige won, or are we celebrating the moment that someone was in a, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I guess it depends on the context and the spin, if you want to
Sure.
use that word, that you look at it. You know,
that I think about is the camaraderie between competitors battling for easily the biggest title in sports, in our sport. And, you know, you think about how much winning a world title means financially for somebody, in terms of in sponsorship, and the fact that she didn't want to win the way that she was winning, because even with all the financial implications that come with being a 3-time world champion as opposed to a 2-time world champion, because of her love for a fellow competitor doing the right thing, I mean, it's hard to say that I would do the same thing in her position. I mean, I would give it my all. I'd play my best, of course, but you know, the way that she tried to give the title to Sarah, it's just, for me, it's just it's a touching moment. But you're right, it does bring up that question where what exactly are you specifically talking about? I think that might be the most moving moment.
Sure.
Maybe the best story. But moment, an actual like concise moment. I don't know if you could have a more concise celebratory moment of more excitement than the memorial finish, to be honest.
Yep. And nothing to be short of what Paul accomplished. It was over an entire season, and we may or may not see that ever duplicated by him or someone else. I don't know, but over an entire season, and then he puts in the putt on the and wins this 5th major. I mean, that, like you're saying, that not necessarily it's a moment, but it's really a season-long moment that took to get there. So so I do want to send a huge, again, shout out to Zach and All Things Disc Golf. If I recall what he told me, you are eligible to vote once per day in each category until this wraps up, which I believe is on Saturday. So you can continue to vote, again, once per day in each of the 4 categories: the best disc, best male and female of the year, along with the best moment of the year. So all of those are your semi-finalists, and then or your finalists, I should say, and then he's gonna the winner. The polls will pick the winner. So
do they get a trophy for winning? Do they get? Pat on the back.
They should get something. I don't know. So
I already said I voted for the germ moment. So.
Oh well, let me log into my computer and vote for the same moment and stuff. All right, Big Germ, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? We'll start to wrap things up. Of course, we're going to give you a chance to plug all your sponsors and friends and supporters, but anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to bring to the table?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'll probably think of something as soon as we get off the phone. I been a good conversation, and always love being a part of anything that you do, and so I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to you guys.
All right. Sponsors, supporters, special people, go ahead and blast them out there.
Well, sure. I'll start off with my girlfriend for being patient with me, doing what I love to do. She's currently sleeping, and I'm probably being way too loud. As soon as I get back in the room, I'm probably going to get yelled at. But she's awesome, and she, keeps me happy, and so it's awesome that you come home from tournaments, win, lose, whatever, you have someone home be there for you is always nice. So shout out to her, and
she's a little out of your league, right? Did we confirm that, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
okay. Go on.
Out kicking my coverage is what people have said. Anyways,
nothing wrong with that.
And but yeah, of course, Prodigy Disc for making the discs that produce champions, and it's being a part of a company that have a hand in it and help make things run the way that you want and produce apparel and discs and everything, having a hand in it is just it's an amazing opportunity, and I gotta thank Prodigy Disc for that, and obviously Deuce Squad, a homie from Iowa, and yeah, I mean the Charlotte Disc Golf Club for making an incredible community of people to really develop lifelong friendships with, and courses that develop incredibly talented players. So, I mean, I'm not saying myself, but for the years you have incredibly gifted players come out of this area, and so I'm just really thankful to have found this game and live in an area that has so many choices of courses to play, and yeah, I guess just thankful for all my supporters out there too. I'm always surprised and humbled by the fact that I get messages from people saying, I'm one of your biggest fans, and I'm still getting used to the fact that people are out there rooting for me and pulling for me, and I love it. It fuels me and it keeps me going, and it just you feel the love wherever you go. So thank you for those people too.
Awesome. Well, you're a fun, lovable guy. It's always a good time around you, and we appreciate you joining us on the show. Before I let you go, we're going to have one of our riddles / giveaways here tonight. You're gonna keep your answer to yourself for a moment here, Germ, and we're going to say the second person to answer this live is going to be the winner. I've got to send a huge shout-out to Jake Neese. Jake purchased a Smashbox TV shirt, a nice soft cotton tee, 60/40 blend, beautiful shirt, and he said, I'd like to purchase a second one and pay for that, and then you give that one away on the show.
Wow.
So I thought that was very nice of Jake. So Jake has a riddle for you guys, or a question. And Big Germ, you talked about knee pads earlier. You talked about the broken glass. So this it ties it all together here. If you guys are ready, the second person to answer this correctly, and that is, if you are like Big Germ and you're going out to play disc golf and you are wearing a pair of pants, why is it that you'd wear a pair of pants? That's the question. Is why, when you're going out to play disc golf, would you wear a pair of pants? So whoever answers that, the second person to answer it correctly, hopefully we get a correct answer.
I was going to say.
The second person to answer it will receive a Smashbox shirt. Again, thanks to our pal Jake. And really, I thought this one was kind of an easy one. But so far, we've seen poison ivy, mud, bugs, chiggers, temperatures, avoid prickles, glass cuts him, all of which have been very incorrect. Cold. Oh, wow. Maybe at this point we should take the first right answer. Pine straw, protect your legs. I think I saw a correct answer. Ooh, shorts are too short. White legs, not to be naked. Sunburn. I'm going to give you guys a hint. Oh, there it is. JNLSGRC, I think, answered it correctly. He was the second person to answer it correctly. You wear a pair of pants when you're playing disc golf in case you get a hole in one.
Bum, bum, ba, bum.
Hey-o! So please confirm out there on the board, ladies and gentlemen. I saw the correct answer, and then there was quite a few other wrong answers. And then JNSLRC.
Every week I put up with this.
Hey, this wasn't mine. This was not. Jake, I'll admit, Jake actually proposed this question himself.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jake.
This is a golf question. This
I like it.
It pertains to golf.
I would rather see, like, why would you bring a spare pair of pants out to the course?
That's another way to word it. That's a variation. But what he sent me, I wanted to read it almost verbatim.
No, that's good, though. We'll take that.
You're wearing a pair of pants, and why are you wearing a pair of pants?
So reach out to Terry for
your Smashbox
Smashbox T-shirt.
Yeah. They're beautiful, and we're gonna have a few other giveaways. So for now, we're gonna cut you loose. Big Germ, you got a lot of people drunk tonight because there was a drinking game. There's a Crazy John Bingo drinking game. There's Disc Golf Guy drinking games. When I say certain things too many times, or when Crazy says certain things, do you know what you did a lot tonight?
Touch my hat.
Touch your hat.
Touch your hat.
So you got a lot of people drunk.
Is that a habit of yours in general, or do you just?
Well. I suppose I'm losing my hair up here sometime. It's going to go, but it just gets itchy, I guess, and so I like to itch it.
Just
But so this was something that people noticed that I do.
Oh, within seconds of tonight.
Yeah, within about a minute and a half of. You started out, you touched it a lot, and then it went quiet for a little while, and then you finished off with a couple
that's
shots.
terrific.
So, yeah.
Yeah, at one point, you really got into it, and people were like, chug. No longer drink, you got to chug. So I thought we'd make you aware of it.
Freaking hilarious. Oh
That's
my
our
gosh.
smashies for you, buddies. There you go.
They're very noticeable.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh man,
Astute crowd.
I thought that you had literally dozens of followers, but you might have even more than that. I don't know how many
I will
people-
say this, Germ. You're going to like it. You're going to have to open that hat a little bigger. You have been one of our longest guests because we kind of had you on with the extra stuff. And you've been one of the most live watched guests we've had in a while. So for what that's worth,
cool.
you got a good
people. I really
supporters.
appreciate all 55 people that have tuned in and watched tonight.
We
awesome.
had triple digits.
We had
watching
triple
live.
digits, bud.
No, I'm sure there's
So
quite
you
a
can
few,
send
and I
us a
appreciate
check.
it. As listen to Terry, I know it's not always easy to listen to him talk for this long, but
It's not.
really
like
appreciate that
looking.
you guys stick to it.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, I got one last question for you. Why are pirates called pirates? They just are.
There you go. All right. Where's the cut? You should have got that cut. Like.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks, Germ.
All right. So thank you guys, everyone. Thanks for tuning in tonight. It's been pretty awesome. Kind of a different format for tonight, which worked out really well.
Yeah, I was at one point, I didn't realize how late it was, how long we had him on. I know he was on for a while, and then I looked, I was like, I think he's been on for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, I know our good friends over at the Disc Golf Show. I know that's, I don't want to say we stole their format, but I know that's something that they do frequently. They get a super special guest, someone like Big Germ and all the other guests that they have.
Sure.
And they kind of have them on for a longer duration of the show to talk through a bunch of things. I think it's a great format. I think, especially on a night like tonight, with not having Dana, not having Zoe, and then like we said, having Big Germ involved in so many of those moments.
Correct.
And to talk with all things disc golf, I think was a no-brainer. So very easy to do. We're gonna have a couple other giveaways. Again, we talked about the Discraft Roach. I've got 2 of those to give away, and we've also talked with Cool Daddy Slick Breeze over at Dynamic Discs, and he said it almost doesn't make sense for them to send us discs for me to then turn around and slack in sending them back out. So we may work to a situation where, like Dynamic Disc does, they could just drop ship the disc directly to our winners. So that's something that we're going to be looking to do. They're going to continue to tell us that they've got stuff for us, and then we tell them who the winners are, and you get free stuff. I'll move over quickly. One of the things that one of the topics that was reached out to us just before the show, so I don't know if we fully wrapped our head around it, but Scott Stokely had reached out to our Smashbox page.
Yep.
I think I don't feel too special, only in the sense I think he reached out to probably to a bunch of media outlets, which is awesome. And I think he's looking for, did you get the gist of the message? Some stuff that he's working on for next year?
Yeah, some sort of collaboration between the two, between us, our website, and he's doing he looks like he's about to, I guess it's public knowledge. He sent it. It didn't seem like it was too quiet. He's looking at creating some sort of ranking system for disc golfers and updating it every twice a month, I believe is what he said. And more or less, we work with him, he works with us.
Okay.
And it's self-promoting kind of thing. So.
Yeah, get it out there. And so that's pretty cool, something that he's working on. And obviously, if you haven't seen it, Scott is very much been promoting, working with special needs, working with autism, helping to raise money, find solutions, cures, all those types of things, and help in any way that he can. So that's really been a driving force behind him. I don't know if you saw this the other day. I didn't catch the follow-up yet, but he had released a video saying what his demands were to go to tournaments next year. Did you see that video?
I did not.
So he basically came out and said, "Hey guys, I'm kind of a big deal. If you want me to come to your tournament, you need to let me host a clinic the day before for special needs, for that." So it's kind of a funny twist, as to making it sound like he's creating this crazy demand or these crazy demands, and really he's just looking to help out the community as he's been doing. So very cool, and blue power, as they're saying. Scott's doing some good stuff, so very good to hear. Some talk on the board. Greg Barsby, DGR interview was awesome with him. I did not see that. I don't know if you've seen anything with Greg Barsby or others in terms of what was going on. That's something I need to research. I'm a little behind on some of my things that were out there. I got myself, speaking of Big Germ, I got myself wrapped up in, I saw on Prodigy's YouTube channel, I saw them have moments of the year, various things. I forget all, I don't know if it was skip shot of the year is what they open with, and then various moments of the year and shots of the year. I saw a few of those. I sat and watched a video. I want to say it was 4.5 or 8 minutes, one of the two. And there's some other content that I didn't realize had been released out there. So I know they've got some new stuff out there as well. So if you want, you can check those out. What else do we have on the news front? Anything exciting?
Not this week.
Okay. I did reach out recently to my friend, Simon Lazat, good friend of the show. And he said it's tough, obviously, to be on our show because I think we start at 3 a.m. his time. Yeah. Simon.
What else has he got to do?
I asked him how his off-season workout was going. He said he'll get to it. And
you don't want to start too soon.
Makes
the off-season a lot longer.
But Simon said that if we wanted to record something, Simon said that if we want to record something, have an interview with him, that we could possibly play that. And I thought that was a pretty clever compromise that we could have him on and talk about some of that.
It is.
And getting some information that the Disc I, Brad Beck, is going to have a release of a video, some video stuff as well pretty soon. We've had a pretty solid crowd here tonight. I think we should give away more stuff.
We don't have anything else to give away.
We have stuff to give away.
What?
We do. I just have to think how we want to give it away. That's always the question.
So tonight we're also one of our sponsors, Discraft. We're giving away a pair.
A pair. Those I actually have. Let me grab them.
A pair of roaches.
Yes. Let me grab them.
Now that Terry's gone, let's talk. Does anyone have anything out there? I don't know if we're going to do an after show tonight. We kind of ran along with Big Germ, and Derry and I have been debating whether or not we're going to do a podcast next week or the week after. We're still figuring that out schedule wise with being so close to Christmas. I'm fine doing one next week or the week after Christmas. We'll see. So these are the Discraft roaches. They're putter.
The big Z.
Keep it in your own box.
Sorry. Yeah, over here. Can you see that? Can people see that?
So
is that my face? How's that look? Anyway, so you got anything clever to give these away with?
No.
Oh.
I thought we had roach facts.
Yeah, we were going to do roach facts, but they were so easy to Google, and everybody was on top of them last week. I'm not sure that... we should think of... Okay, we're going to go with a relatively... We'll go with a relatively easy one. I don't know if I know the answer, though.
We can Google it, too.
No, let's not go that way. How about... No, they're so easy, because we got to come up with questions that it's just not who can Google it quickest.
I don't mind the Google quickness.
The Google quickness?
Yeah.
Yeah, like how long they can hold their breath. Like, unfortunately, a lot of that was a question that was originally proposed. Like that was a good one. Terry trivia. No, you'd have to be a really dedicated viewer to know when that happened, or an insider. So we can't get too specific.
No, because I was thinking something like name the first pro event that Terry won, or something like that. But
yeah, how many discs do I own? Unfortunately, that's way too many. I don't even know. No. Thousands upon thousands. You got any Star Wars trivia that you would feel comfortable doing? I have no Star Wars trivia.
You put me on the spot.
Or we could just ask, because I know the answer to this, which night you're going to see it. But that's just a random guess.
Yeah, that's a random guess for people. That's not really... I'm going to... I turned down... I was offered a single ticket for Thursday at 10:30. This Thursday at 10:30, which would be the second showing, because it's 7 o'clock would be the first showing.
Okay.
And I turned it down Instead, I'm going to be going Saturday Saturday 7:00 showing with some friends. The ticket was offered me by a guy at work. Go with a group, so turned it down. But I'm really, really excited for it.
Okay. Here's one. This is a fair one. Yeah, fair enough. And there's some perfect tie-ins to it. It all makes perfect sense. So we're gonna go with the third person to answer this because I feel like it's easy enough. And either you kind of know it or you don't. You could Google it, but that's gonna take you a lot longer. So here we go. Who is the PDGA Hall of Famer that has been the tournament director of the Memorial Championship?
Oh, that's going to be easy.
Well, easy for some. For those of you who don't know, get your disc golf history on, is what I would say there. Amazing individual. I didn't say male or female, but amazing individual. Put it into the PDGA Hall of Fame in 2008. I'm making that up from memory. I think that was 2008. I see correct answer.
Is that the third answer right there?
Is it who I think it is?
Mr. Scott Elam?
Scott Elam.
Yep.
Saw Scott a few weeks ago down in North Carolina.
Yep.
Scott, you are the winner. I don't know if these I think you have other sponsor affiliations, maybe not, but either way, you're getting a pair of Discraft roaches. Thank you to Discraft. You guys were pretty good on that. Very nice.
Koling was the first answer.
Oh.
He was the first one to put it right.
Was he the first correct answer?
He was the first correct answer.
Good job, Koling. Too bad that's not how we play.
Yeah.
Who said it first? Yeah, you did, Koling. Good job.
Yeah, but we went with the third correct answer.
Because that's just how we roll. So, Scott, send me a message on Facebook, and then in 2 days, remind me, because I probably forgot. And I'm just being real here. Like I said, I'm really good at mailing stuff out when people have paid for it because it's in my PayPal account.
Yeah.
But when you win free stuff, I apologize. I think Scott Lithicum from a week or two ago is still missing an AVR, which I have sitting at my house. So anyway, here you go. Pair of Discraft roaches. So thank you guys for that. Pretty awesome. And I had a couple other really good lines of thought there that I've completely spaced on that were good and pertinent too.
All right.
They'll come back to me. So anyway, Jeff, if I have stuff coming to you, you do need to remind me and research where and tell me where that was. That you know. But seriously, if you do have something coming your way, certainly don't hesitate to remind me. We saw Schweb on the board tonight. Paige Pierce had said earlier that she was going to chime in. Her good friend Jeremy being on the show. We're not sure if Paige is out there or not, but she said that she would be chiming in. Another question on the board asked about Big Germ and who designed his logo, and I'm going to tell you that Big Germ designed his logos. For those, I know he barely he touched on a little bit.
He touched on his graphic design. I was gonna
background. Yep.
I was gonna ask him about that a little more, but we didn't get around to it as much. I know a lot of people want to focus on the golf. Me personally, I know it might sound strange. Like I see so much of this golf, and I see so many of these players. I tend to want to ask them questions that don't relate to golf. But
correct, yeah, and I know I kind of was picking on the crowd a little bit because everybody's asking about the A1. That's just it. Sometimes you and I know some of these answers, and of course not all of our viewers do.
Of course.
And a lot of these players, I feel like, and I'll admit I try to do this in a lot of my interviews, whether it's vlogs or on screen or live, I attempt to go after a kind of the secondary questions for that exact reason. Because I feel like so many players get asked of the same things over and over and over again that they've probably answered that same question 100 times. So I like to go with maybe my second question so that it's not the most obvious. But Big Germ did talk about the A1. Jason LeCane's out there. We appreciate the support, Jason. Chaining in the new year, we talked about it earlier, buddy. It's moved into this weekend. C-tier over at Estabrook Park on the east side of Milwaukee. Certainly get on board with it. And this was going to be, I'll give it away now. So this might be a future answer. So I'm giving you guys the inside scoop right now. Jason had asked, he's a healthy guy. He asked me for a Mountain Dew update. And Jason, I'm proud to say There's still 2 of them sitting in my car. Now, my car wasn't accessible because it was out of commission the last few days
right, yeah.
and in the shop. But yes, there's still the same 2 that are sitting in my car. I have not had one sip of Mountain Dew. I even worked out a little extra harder last night.
Good.
Not really. It wasn't good. There's nothing good about it, but I did it. My good friend Colin played a little bit of racquetball. He was on his C game, I think I would call that. Usually Colin and I are literally point for point.
Sure.
Not so much last night. He was struggling. So got in 3 solid games of racquetball and then hit the elliptical for a little while and managed to stay off the dew. So December 1st, correction, November 30th, I have not had a Mountain Dew. That was the first day of not having one. So
Okay.
just so you guys know later, that may be a question. So for all our diehards that like to give me a hard time, myself included, about drinking too much Mountain Dew. And I've pretty much cut out most soda. I can't say I've gone cold turkey. I haven't cut out every soda every time. But I have not had a Mountain Dew.
I would have a hard time with that, just simply based on that's how usually I intake my alcohol is mixed
yes.
with soda.
Yes. Car issue. Thanks for everyone that cared out there. I had posted a video earlier. Yes, it was ultimately the alternator, which was kind of my guess as well, unfortunately, because it would start up and then wouldn't stay going. So just had my alternator replaced, Honda Element, and that will bring us to our next and final. That's a good one. Our next final question of the night for a giveaway.
What are we giving away? I don't even know.
Some discs from Dynamic Discs. They've got them. We're giving them away. We appreciate their support.
Okay.
So, here's the question. Today, I had picked up my Honda Element 2005. They replaced the alternator. Took it to a local shop. The question is, first person within $10 of it, what was the final cost on replacing my alternator on the 2005 Honda Element? You
Wow.
win 2 Dynamic Discs. I will say they did not do me justice, thanks to DD. But there you go. So I'm going to have to kind of watch this intently. Within $10.
The first answer?
The first answer within $10. Oh my gosh, they're coming in so quickly. Wow, lots of good numbers. Oh, there's one that's really close, although you have no idea which one I'm looking at.
Awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess this could go all night, couldn't it?
Yeah.
No, not really.
No,
If you're paying attention there.
It'll get hit. I wouldn't say this is necessarily the best podcast.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Definitely the winner.
Who?
Tig Legit or Tig Legit.
Yeah.
I think he said $586. Is that what I saw?
586, but he put the dollar sign on the wrong side.
That's all right.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
what was the
unless somebody can disprove otherwise from up in the chat, the total was $588. So he was only off by $2.
That's pretty good.
$588 was the total, and I said within 10.
Yep.
So unless somebody can dispute that or refute
Nope.
that number, yeah, robbed, I know, and it's way too much. I know. Yeah. Alternator fully replaced. Yeah. That was rigged. There's really no reason for us to rig it, honestly. He's going to get 2 discs. Send me a message on Facebook and send it to the one with the little Disc Golf Guy logo in it. That's the one I check more often. So there you go. 2 discs, Dynamic Discs. Thank you very much. All right, Johnny. Well, let's close out the show. Then we'll maybe stick around for a brief after show so we can do a little more interacting with everyone.
All right.
Yeah, so there we go. So tonight, we definitely have to send a huge shout out to our new sponsor in
Big Germ?
In Daredevil Discs. We're going to have them on the show in a couple weeks where you're going to learn all about Daredevil Discs so that everyone knows what they have to offer, especially now that they're here stateside. We also have to, of course, thank Discraft. Thank you guys very much for the putters that we're giving away, as well as our friends Dynamic Discs, Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, that whole crew, Eric McCabe, Disc Golf Answer Man, all of those amazing people over there. We'd like to thank Big Germ and all of his supporters that tuned in. We had a really large crowd of people in here tonight. We really appreciate that and the extra time that Big Germ gave us. So for Johnny V and myself, Not so much for Dana Vici. That was podcast number 66. We'll see you guys in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
And we're back.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was a little bit of a pause here. I am Terry Miller, your host, the Disc Golf Guy, joined here in studio with Johnny V. This is episode 66's after show. We should have after show sponsor. All of our great sponsors. We thank them all.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. What is... I think the hog saying, wait for a bunch of trash for giveaways to be prepared. A 12-pack of Dew, a Zephyr, pair of socks, Nike headband, and a 1998 NCAA for PlayStation. No, we are here tonight. Thank you guys for sticking around. We'll talk a little bit of stuff. We'll interact with you a little bit more here on the message board. One of the perks, joining us live on Tuesday nights. We'll probably read your silly stuff and maybe even repeat most of it.
Yeah.
And if there's something you want us to address or talk about, we'd be glad to do so. Looks like we still have most of our regulars out on the board, taking it all in. And, of course, Big Germ out there, everybody giving him a little extra love. Thanks again to Big Germ for giving us the little extra time here tonight. Excuse me. Joining us in our regular show.
Terry, what are your thoughts on the World Team Disc Golf Championships coming up this year?
That's taking place in Canada, right?
Hey.
Okay. I am going to be the first to admit I don't know a lot about it. I know that Michael Downs has some affiliation to it, and I know Michael Downs is as stand-up of a guy as they get. So I know that if he had any involvement, which I believe he did, then I'm sure it's going to be great. So, yeah, that's honestly, I don't know all the details. I know Michael had talked about some of it during last year. Nothing came to fruition with us working on it, but hopefully something can, and we'll talk about it more when we know that. I do want to address something that came in a little earlier. As far as I know, they'll go ahead and extend it for this upcoming year. If you are a brand new PDGA member,
Yep.
Smashbox TV has done you a solid, and we've secured a code from the Professional Disc Golf Association, so you can use Smashbox 20. Smashbox New 20. Thank you. Smashbox New 20, and that will get you 20% off your new PDGA membership. That does not count for renewing members. So please don't yell at us next week when you say that the code didn't work. However, I do encourage you to get
New members
renewed,
only.
But it is for new members only. So Smashbox New 20 will get you that code. Will get you a 20% discount for signing up for next year. Keith said that he got a Smashbox T-shirt from Miles. It was in someone's car for a couple weeks before it got delivered to you. Yeah, you should got it right away. That was one of our very special early releases, Keith. You got the extra early homeboy hookup on that. Thank you for being such a dedicated Smashy and tuning into us live every week.
That code will not expire as far as we're aware. That should be good for all new members. It's been that way for the past year, so
I don't
foresee it
that
leaving.
Going away. Smashbox New 20, and again, that is good for a new PDGA member.
So sign someone up you don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
A stranger.
What a
Phone
great
book it.
Gift. Honestly, it's an awesome Christmas
It
gift.
really is.
And I gotta send a big shout out to our pal Jake Nice. He again super awesome that he bought 2 Smashbox T-shirts, one for himself and one to give away as we did earlier tonight. Question on the board was, does Jeremy Koling have to pay for his PDGA membership? I'm going to answer that for him and say yes, he does. I don't know if they were maybe asking if a sponsor paid for him, but in terms of being a PDGA pro, the pros are responsible ultimately to get their membership dues paid for. Their sponsor may or may not pick up that fee for them. However, Paul Macbeth, at some point, either him or someone from his camp, his entourage, his posse,
camp?
will have to pay that $75 fee. So if that's the reference you were making, do our top pros even have to pay in? Yes, they do. Local Joe, asking if saying he's looked forward to some of the worst PDGA rounds ever recorded. Not kidding. Are you talking, Joe? Are you playing this weekend? Are you referencing yourself or something else? I'm not sure what you were saying there. And Jake, no, my daughter hasn't hid any more things from us, but I think your shirt and disc are going out tomorrow. I think. Yeah. PDGA Pro membership, I'm pretty certain is going to remain the same for next year. That's $75 for PDGA professional membership, $50 for an amateur membership. And I want to say this should be a good trivia question. I think we might have used it. I think we did a while ago. I think PDGA amateur memberships make up 77 or 78% of the PDGA memberships.
We've never used that as
Really?
No.
Well, it's a great question.
It is a great question because I didn't know the answer.
I think it's 77 or 78% of the memberships. Rebecca Hall Duffy, our PDGA president, celebrated her birthday in the last few days as well.
I saw that as well.
Happy birthday, Rebecca. See, all of a sudden just random stuff starts spewing into my head. Just need to unlock it.
Sure.
Just get in there. All right, maybe not. Do you know of any other states besides Mississippi that have very few PDGA events each year?
Maine?
No, Maine's got quite a few.
Do they?
Yep. Maine in Newfoundland up there.
Probably Hawaii.
Yeah, probably Hawaii. Probably Rhode Island is another good one. Probably Wyoming. But I think maybe more specifically, I think he's talking about, we'll say, a population that could support it that chooses not to. And that's a topic for a whole nother day with probably some really smart and other insightful people to join us. But down in that neck of the woods, in that area, the Southern Nationals is kind of I think I can say a governing body of sorts. Southern Nationals is really the predominant organization. That's the word. Organization. And they kind of have their own system. I think they play by almost all PDGA rules. I think they use PDGA ratings. I think they use a lot of things that are based on PDGA reason and logic. However, they don't sanction their PDGA events. It's a long-standing feud of many, many, many years. And I will never claim to know all of it from either side. I just know it's a long-standing thing. They do have their own point system. Now, their own points, I'm sure, are to get into their finals or to crown a champion. But their own points otherwise mean nothing in terms of the PDGA world.
Sure.
You know, you could say, I won 10 million Southern National points. That's not going to get you into Pro Worlds next year. So if they're not sanctioned by the PDGA, that's what mattered. They use their rules, and now playing by them is a whole different another story. And again, I can't dare get into any of that. I did see that Matt Oram release some frustration on Facebook. I know at one point a few weeks ago it was announced Matt, so I don't feel bad sharing this, Matty O had said something about being suspended because he hadn't paid the Southern Nationals event dues or something, and there was some confusion and frustration out there, and and they were saying, you know, he was a tournament director, like even if he is a top pro, he's a tournament director, and we'll see how that sorts itself out. A guy in his club is doing a 5-stop series in northern Mississippi next year. Tried to get him to do PDGA, but they will not be. Again,
a lot of places start out like that. They'll just start a couple events, not be PDGA, and if they pick up some steam, that's when they start to see different things, insurance and stuff like that the PDGA can help them with. So
sure, and some places will just defiantly, absolutely never have sanctioned events because that's not what they're looking for. So. Every area is a little bit different. You'll definitely see that some pockets and regions of the country are very PDGA, centric, and some are the exact opposite. And I'd say this: if you are one or the other, and in yourself you're one or the other, and then you live in an area that's the opposite, that would kind of suck.
Yeah,
you would think about moving if disc golf was important enough. Or you got to travel a lot. One of the two.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like Matt Orm's taking care of and back to playing. Either way, I saw some of the good stuff on out there on Facebook. Spike Heiser, yeah, I'll say that. The Spike Heiser Tour and the Homegrown Series, I believe it was called, were all non-PDGA sanctioned, and then he had a complete switch over to that. That leads me to another point. This weekend I released a couple of different vlogs. Rarely do I release like two totally unrelated ones within, say, 12 hours of one another. However, I think it was Friday night or Thursday or Friday night I had released a little highlight reel from the Vegas event.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to watch like a quick 3 to 4 minute highlight reel, some of the best shots that we saw, a lot of them involved your champion, spoiler alert, your champion, Paul Ulibarri, and Bobby Musick, two of the top players at the event, but obviously I featured other players, as many as I had shots for. And then the very next day I opened up finally opened up the coverage for the Spike Heiser Tour event that I was at, the championship. And that's kind of a unique event, unique film in that I went around and got a whole bunch of action from the B pool and then overlaid the player meeting on top of it or behind it. So you're listening to Chuck thank the sponsors, talk about the year, but then you're also seeing the best shots. Yeah, you're watching the best shots.
That's a nice way to go.
And I'm going to say a huge shout out to my friend Tony, who's helping me do a little bit of play-by-play action for the rest of that tournament. So the following 3 rounds, you see Big Germ, you see Barry Schultz, you see Schwabe. You're going to see those roll out. Those are almost done, but you're going to see those roll out in normal shot-by-shot round coverage. However, they're better than normal. I will go ahead and say that. They're definitely better than normal, and that's all because of what Tony's been doing for us. So thank you very much, Tony. So there's some new videos out, I guess is what I was going to... My mini vlogs are continuing on.
Good.
You love them yet?
Sure.
It's all right if you don't.
No,
I don't care.
I like them.
Whatever.
I've told you my complaints with them. You need a better camera.
Yeah, well, that will happen at some point.
It's always a little fuzzy and
it was more fuzzy one day because of moisture in the air. If you compare,
I understand, but
mini vlog 5 versus today's,
they're still not clear though.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
It could be better. We had your mini vlogs. Actually, normally for me personally, they don't really break news, but I did get you did break the Billy Crump news for me today.
I did. That's what I do.
It's good.
Yesterday.
But I do like them. I like them a lot. I think that it's really good.
I would love for you guys to give me more feedback on those if you've been watching those at all. If you've unsubscribed to my channel, I understand too. No, but if you've been watching them, I would love more feedback as to them. They're going to be short and concise. Again, I kind of want to hit you with a little news or information, and then I want to follow it up with a question that we can talk about. Today's question was, did you get your new magazine, the PDGA magazine? Did you get it in the mail yet? Okay.
I'll probably get it tomorrow.
Yeah, I got mine today. And so my question of the day was, if you're a member, of course, of the PDGA, and you get that magazine, what do you like most about it? What does it do for you?
I haven't. Did you look through the magazine?
For 2 seconds, just because it was a timeliness thing today.
Sure.
I looked through it literally for just a few seconds.
I'll usually breeze through, check out the pictures, read in any particular articles that jump out at me, and then I file it away. I heard some complaints about this current one that I don't know if it's I think maybe someone was complaining too much advertising. So I haven't gotten mine to take a look yet. So I'll be really curious. I might kind of more examine it this month or this quarter more than I normally do.
Okay. We saw Miles Seaborn and Hannah Leatherman on the covers. Congrats to both of them. I think it's so easy, and I'm sure they get criticized one way or another. Can't please everyone. Spoiler alert, can't please everyone. As to, you see your obvious choices, your Paul Macbeths and your Pages, who, you would think would frequently grace the covers. However, sometimes, Hannah, of course, winning the U.S. Women's earlier this year. I mean, that's a PDGA major, and obviously her biggest victory to date. So awesome to have her on there. I'm trying to read up on a few of the other conversations. One of the conversations, USDGC final round, there may be a development at that. We're trying to work on some footage. I'm trying to work on some footage to see if I can make it happen. One of the biggest challenges about assembling any of that footage, if it were to happen in a condensed version, is, and we kind of talked about it before, recording when you're live versus recording for post-production are two different beasts. And so you would hear me talking, for instance, calling the live shot, and it may get cut off because we're not necessarily recording every second.
Correct.
And those are all considerations. So if this round does, if I can assemble something that resembles the final round, that's going to be one of the biggest challenges, is how to handle that. Just play it raw, edit, cut it out, put music over the top of it all.
Some sort of music, because people can.
But I hate that music.
I don't care. People can mute the music, but
I'm just saying.
And people are going to complain, but people also want the footage. So
and then
life.
darkness was falling on us, and fancy cameras, and trying to get it all to work. So it might happen, and if it does, again, I'll be announcing it here if we can find something that happens. All right, people, keep them coming. I think you're talking about the mini vlogs. Hold the camera higher. There was a conversation about using a selfie stick, which I'm so self-conscious to do. I hate the idea of it, but my arm is pretty short, so when I'm doing this and holding it out in front of me, it only extends that far, and then I gotta have it at a right angle. I mean, I don't want an unflattering angle of my fat face. So that's something. But yes, I think I will at some point get a selfie stick. I think I have one somewhere. I just need to use it. I've never used it before. I know I was not eating French fries. Do we want to see Terry more clearly? Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Chuck Kennedy says that this might be the most new discs approved in the past 30 days. They've had 20 new discs approved in the last 30 days.
Wow. Chuck, thanks for the stat. That would have been a great question. See, we need to have Chuck feed us questions moving forward, because he could bring out something. That's a good one. Same amount of disc golf, just for everyone. We need the same amount of disc golf videos as usual per week, so keep them digging. What is the Billy Crump news? We talked about that earlier, just that Billy Crump was announced as the American Disc Golf Tour host. Oh, I guess I could have said this earlier in the regular show, too. I reached out to Chris, and some of you may or may not know or realize Chris did have a conversation with me earlier about the idea of me possibly being involved with the not with the World Tour, I'm sorry, the American Tour, in some kind of commentator role or position. Obviously, they announced that they're using Billy, and I had reached out to him and basically said, do I need to keep my schedule open for anything for that weekend? It's a big weekend with all the things going on. I see you've locked in with Billy. Is there any consideration or need, is maybe a good word, anything for me? And he said, we've obviously we've gone with Billy, and more or less that I'm not needed in any capacity. So I appreciate him getting back to me, letting me know. In fact, I kind of wanted to, because I know a lot of people have asked me about it. In fact, that was a question earlier on the board. Somebody had asked about it, so I wanted to be as clear as possible. And what he had said is, since our initial conversation and evaluating our options, we have decided that Billy is the better fit for the American Disc Golf Tour at this time. Proximity and relationships with competing entities is our primary concern. Thanks and good luck in 2016. So, and of course I wished him just the same, said thanks and good luck. And I know that my efforts can be fully focused on other stuff during that weekend. So good luck to you guys. It's gonna be crazy to see disc golf on ESPN3 for sure.
It's gonna be awesome.
So let's see.
Michael, Minnesota Prop Bro, asking if we've ever thrown any MVP discs. Very, very little. Some of the first, the Axiom, I believe, is one of the first ones.
No, you threw you threw. Did you throw was it a mid range?
I think it was.
Then you threw the Axis.
The Axis, yep. Yes, the Axis. I think I threw it back and forth a little bit, not enough to really give an opinion. But and as we said, one of the things I hope you and I never do is do disc reviews.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's so subjective, and there are other people out there that do a way more thorough job than us.
Yeah. So, the MVP making a bigger splash, certainly in the last year. They've approved a ton of discs.
Yep.
Jake, I won't use a tripod because one of my rules is going to be that this needs to be versatile. Sometimes it's going to be at home. Other times it's going to be in other random places. So minimalist effort was still making it happen is what I'm going to be using. At least a selfie stick I could.
Someone's asking about the Ozone Andro. I don't know about the Andro one other than the Proto Andro one.
Oh, no.
Oh, snap. I've got one because I was a Kickstarter backer. This one is not PDGA
Approved yet? I thought they just approved it.
It is approved, but this particular one I don't believe is.
Well, if it's a proto.
Yeah, I don't believe it worked. I don't think
okay.
just because there was some issue with it. So, but I believe they had. I don't know if they resubmitted or something like that, or maybe this one is and it's just a proto. It's number 245 of 500. So,
moving on.
Johnny Judge's discs on the coolest stamp. If I have a choice to get a cool stamp, if it's the same disc versus a stock stamp, I'll go with the cool stamp. Some people are the opposite way. Some people prefer stock stamps.
It's amazing how many people are like, oh, I'm not throwing that, because it doesn't say, felon on it. Or
that it has a tournament stamp on it
exactly.
and not the stock stamp.
It's
a really interesting.
And a lot of people, I sell a lot of discs out at the parks, or I have throughout the years, not so much lately. But some people, when they see a tournament stamp, they just think it's a different disc.
Yes,
like
that's a lot. That's a lot of rec players.
Oh, the Magnolia Open. I don't throw those. I only throw felons. Well, this is a felon with that logo. No. I only throw. I don't throw the Magnolia Open.
Someone's saying that the Disc Golf Answer Man did their 99th episode tonight.
Yeah, were they trying to scoop us or trying to? Who owns Tuesday nights?
That's true. They didn't.
You Disc Golf Answer Manners.
Did they record it tonight?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm not sure what they did.
And they don't do theirs live.
I know.
They're not
cut out for that.
They don't got the jib.
Yeah.
They're cut or something. No. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to see if they do anything special for 100.
They've got to be.
Yeah.
They've got to be. Something special.
Is that when McCabe leaves and comes to Smashbox? That's the announcement. I'm out.
Movement or cuts, maybe light music track in the background, some suggestions when there isn't any movement. I think Grant, I think you're talking about probably about a USDGC video. We'll work on that. Latitude 64 making all these new discs to make up for the one they just made out of production. I don't know. That is something that's certainly newsworthy, and I shouldn't speak too much of it because I don't know all the details. But I know some of the trilogy discs. I'm going to say that generically, and some of them within those three companies, I think, are being discontinued. And maybe it's just DDs or maybe it's just Latitudes. I don't know which ones, but some of them. I know there's a list of them that they're just flat out discontinuing, not going to be making anymore. So people, I've noticed some people that really like those discs are like, oh, I need to stock up on them.
Well, yeah,
which makes perfect sense.
It's the risk you run.
The Ricky disc, the mid-range called the Compass. Don't know too much about it yet. I'm looking forward to hearing more. Hopefully our pals over at Latitude and Trilogy will let us know more about it as it comes out. But yeah, I did announce that the other day on on one of my mini blogs, is that Ricky has his own mid-range. I'm always late. Anything big get announced, you're missing. Why is Terry reading comments from 20 minutes ago? Because I'm just getting caught up on them.
Yeah, see, I tend to... I watch the board more than Terry does,
yes.
So I will comment more often on something that's happening right away. And if I don't comment on it, it's usually because I don't think it's worth commenting on. And Terry goes back and reads comments that I think are like,
I'm just giving everybody their love. A little extra, attention here. As Jake says. Johnny reads the current ones and Terry gets the ones that went past.
Yep. And like I said, usually if it goes past, it's because I just don't think it's worth bringing up. Are you
saying our people are unimportant?
No, I'm saying that they have their own conversations. So to bring that up isn't necessarily good. But if people throw questions out there versus things like that, it's just the way it works.
All right. So official, because we want to be fair here. Somebody had said that it's 1 DD disc, 6 Latitude discs, and 1 West Side disc getting discontinued. So get out and find out for sure what those are before I'm wrong on more stuff. And a huge fan, I think the Hog, says that he will watch the American Disc Golf Tour just for Billy. Billy has quite a following.
Yeah.
Like I said, he hasn't been doing a lot of announcing and such lately, but he definitely has quite a following.
I thought it was... well, first of all, I thought it was a little interesting that that Billy was picked just because he's been off the scene for so long. You know, and as you and I discussed, there are people. Billy was the video guy for a while. Like, there was Clash, and people waited for those Clash DVDs to come out, and then YouTube kind of showed up, and it just kind of
moved away from them.
It moved away. People didn't want to have to pay for it when people were putting videos out there for free. So it kind of, things petered out for the Clash series, and Billy and I actually had conversations about ways for that to move in the future and things like that years and years ago.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't know Billy. It's just
true, which is so weird.
And
to
there might
us,
be people
again.
that Billy doesn't know.
Sure.
Just it's so knowing, like I said, knowing Nature Boy for 15 years now, there's a whole generation of golfers that are raised on video that have no clue what's going on. And I'd be curious. I haven't looked and see if there's any Clash DVDs out on YouTube.
There may or may not have been one or two that have been uploaded in that sense. So, yeah, definitely.
He should take those. As I said, I told him this years ago. Take them, rip them, put them up on YouTube for rent if that's what he really wants, because you can do that now.
I think that's Whiplash Joker 21 asked, "What's the best background music for disc golf videos in your opinions?" I give up. That's what I say to that. I give up. I have sat for
anything
hours.
royalty free.
I have sat for hours though to try and come up with the few videos that I have that have background music, and I try to do what I think makes sense, that sounds good, but there's so many people that are just so anti one genre or another that it makes it almost impossible, because as soon as you put in pop or rap or hip hop or name the genre, somebody's going to say, I effing hate that.
Let's say it's a 55-minute video, just different
like completely classical to jazz,
go from classical
funk,
to EDM to electron, all that other good stuff. So
so there's no good answer. I hate it. That's why I almost hate putting any music into any videos, because I'm always worried that someone's gonna be like, oh, great video, but I hated the music. Well, which you can hit mute on, but Billy Crump is PDGA 10855, which means I literally at the time probably signed up a few months before he did.
Yeah.
I'm 10738, and although 70 numbers goes in a night on a busy day at the PDGA now, 70 numbers back in the mid 90s, could have taken a week or a month or 2 months, maybe not that long, but Billy Crump PDGA 10855.
Someone asked if there's any update on the Disc Golf Answer Man versus Smashbox.
Oh,
double. We might have some news on that.
We'll have to hold off on it.
Yep.
Just yet. We can't announce it. You want to, but we can't. Let's just hopefully something can happen in the next year. That's what we can say.
Within the next year.
Yeah.
We've made talks that we hope to beat them on the golf course.
Yes. Smack them down. And there's talk, Jomez does good too. I'm assuming he means music. McFly has interesting music. There's just I hate to say it, I don't feel like there's any good winner. And clearly there's better editors than me, but I just know that no matter what you put out there, somebody's going to hate your music. It's just a fact of life. Murder Mike has a different approach, and I'm going to say this. Murder Mike doesn't care about things like copyrights. For those of you that don't know, when you put up a video that's copywritten, that has legal rights to it, YouTube knows that. Within seconds, they have a little what's the word I'm looking for? Not analyzer, which it is, but anyway, they can check. They know, and they'll immediately say, "Oh, this is a Kenny Rogers song, or this is a so and so song," and they'll flag it, and then the few dollars that you maybe could have made on that video for having it up, you'll make zero on. So somebody puts out a video with some kid singing along to Frozen, and it gets 10 million views. Nobody's making any money on that because it's a trademark song, copywritten. So Murder Mike doesn't care about any of that stuff, which is fine. So he takes whatever, usually some kind of rap or whatever he likes, and he puts that in, and therefore usually forgoes any kind of monetization that you can do on YouTube. So Murder Mike's music, I'll say he has a wider range to draw from, because he can really
he can
use
pick
anything
from wherever.
So Okay, gonna move on. Terry has some early 90s West Coast rap vibe music, bumping funky.
I heard Murder Mike is a murderer. I've never heard that. I just know it's his nickname. He could be murdering the chains.
Please speculate about how Paige Pierce's appearance affects the odds of who she will be sponsored by. I don't,
No.
especially with the way they worded it and the way it is. That doesn't mean anything.
No, I know her and
She's a friend of the family.
EMAC are
Good friends.
really
toured
tight.
together.
Yep.
And I would say it's no more speculative than us having our second ever guest be Katrina Allen.
Yeah.
Hottest player of the time, played the most events the year before, had the hottest year of the, whatever.
Yep.
It was a no-brainer for us to have Katrina Allen. So, take it as you will. Some people I'm sure will look into it, and you're more than welcome to, but flipping out Paige is in Emporia at the moment. Okay. Skate video with no music and just listening to skateboard on the street. Daniel says he's convinced she's going trilogy. Lots of speculation out there. Trying to give you...
I heard that she's going to join Outcast.
Hey,
It's going to be her, Dre, Andre. So, and that's my guess. I think that's what Dan Stevens had meant when he put Outcast.
The show needs more wild speculation. Yeah, we could speculate a lot of wild things probably.
Yep. Anyway.
I was trying, never mind. All right.
We're going to call it.
We are, I guess. I got photos of discs to take pictures of quickly. I'll give me a shameless plug if you see it out on Facebook. I have too many discs. People call me hoarder. People said they don't know how many discs I have. I literally have thousands of discs, and a lot of them are really cool, and I just seriously don't have the room or the space or the need for them all. So you're going to see me with an onslaught of just all sorts of random discs, manufacturers, some really older and collectible, some really, really valuable. Everywhere in the middle. There won't be one boring disc that I'm going to put up. So you may see those in the next few days. Have fun, all you Trekkies. Just kidding. All you what's the name for Star Wars people?
There isn't one.
There's got to be. There's got to be a name.
No, there's science fiction people. The difference is Trek lasted so long. It was a series, and then they've got like 12 movies or something like that. It's got to be around there. Star Wars was, 3 movies, and then they released 3 more.
Yeah, but there's got to be a name for the die-hard.
There's really not.
You guys have known that we've got a name for our show. We've got Smashies that are amazing.
I know.
That we've existed for literally less than 2 years as a company.
Yeah.
How does Star Wars not have nerds?
Yeah, nerds,
Jedis.
But yeah,
there's no just sweeping name.
There's not not
encompasses
particularly
them.
For Star Wars. No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I'm just shocked by that. That's all I can say. All right, so this has been podcast number 66's after show with a little bit of silliness, and again, our sponsors that have helped us out, and hopefully will continue to with Dynamic Disc, Discraft, along with our new supporters in Daredevil Discs, and anyone else that wants to jump on board. We'd love to talk to you. This has been Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you guys more than likely in a couple weeks for podcast 67 when you step inside the Star Wars Smash Box thing. Bye.